Welcome to Car Shopping Questions and Answers. I'm your host, Brother Deshone, the auto advisor. And all I care about is making sure you pay less than everyone else for cars and never spend more than 30 minutes in a car dealership. That's been my mission. I spent 14 years in the car business. Now we do these live streams to make sure you have the strategies you need to save thousands of dollars, because there's only three prices you can pay with any car. Three prices: market value, above market value, or below market value. So all we talk about here is how to pay below market value, which leads to thousands and thousands of dollars in savings. And you can start typing your questions in and we will get to them one by one. So we appreciate you actually tuning in with us. Everything what I'll be talking about on this stream is out of my new digital book. It is called Cars from Home. That's a mindset. 7 steps to saving time, money, and avoiding dealerships. You can get a copy of it anytime over the next 30 minutes for 75% off. It's normally a $97 book. It's worth every penny. You can see it's 5 stars. You can Google it. But as part of my welcome offer, I want to give it to you for 75% off. So if you get to my TikTok bio before 30 minutes or my Instagram bio, click that website there, or the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, you'll click a link that you can activate that 75% off and get your book for $24 instead of $97. But it's only for 30 minutes, so make sure you get there before 30 minutes is up. Okay, so we're going to start out with Mary's question, which is what to say if I'm asked to make a down payment. First thing you have to realize is down payments are not mandatory, and in all but 2 cases, they're unnecessary. So down payments, let's say you're looking at a car, it's $25,000. You want to buy it. The bank will lend as long as you have good credit, fair credit, good credit, great credit, 20% above what the car's value is. So if you're buying a car for $25,000, the bank will lend another, let's call it $5,000. So they'll lend $30,000 against a $25,000 vehicle. Now, what does that $30,000 entail? Well, let's say you want to put no money down and you want to buy the car and put your taxes in the loan. The bank will approve that. Let's say you want to buy it and put your fees, which may be a documentation fee and DMV fees. Those are the only 3 legitimate fees: tax, DMV, documentation. So you put that in there. So now that takes you from 26, 25. With the taxes, you go up to 28. With the fees, you go up to 29. The bank will lend up to 30 or 20% above the vehicle's value, which is 25, which means you can do a no money down deal. It is not required. Let's say the vehicle's value is 25, but because you have no shopping strategy, you pay 28. The bank only is going to lend 30 because the price you paid for the vehicle does not affect the value of the vehicle. If the value was 25 and you paid 28, the bank's lending 30. Now, the same is true if you get a big discount. Let's say the value of the vehicle is 25 and you get it for 20. The bank is still going to lend what? Up to what? Come on, type in the chat so I know who I'm talking to. I need to make sure I'm talking to the locked in people. 30, exactly. So the loan to value ratios don't change regardless of what you pay for the vehicle. Now, as long as you are trying to get a vehicle and be with everything you want to add to your loan is within the loan to value ratios, money down is not necessary, no matter what they tell you. But what you have to understand is if you come over and you have $5,000 of negative equity, now we have to take that into consideration. Can we do a no money down deal with $5,000 of negative equity? Possibly. It's going to go back to 20% above what the vehicle's value is. So you heard, oh, maybe I get a discount, get me a nice deal, below market deal, knock $3,000-4,000 off. and I can bring over more negative equity. But the only two people who cannot do these no money down deals, and more than the majority of it, is the negative equity people, because you just have too much baggage you're bringing over. And then if your credit is too bad, where you're trying to finance everything, but even with credit being bad, they're normally just charging you a higher interest rate. They're not usually, sometimes you'll see a lower loan to value ratio, but typically the 20% is going to be customary. So it's really the negative equity that stops people from doing no money down deals in most cases. When I was at Mercedes, some of you know I worked for Mercedes for 5 years. People with 800 scores would leave with no car, negative equity. So if you have a lot of negative equity, your goal is to find a car that you can get a huge discount off of, something like, $7,000-$10,000. Even if you look at somebody like Tiffany bought her Mazda using our strategies, using the strategies in my book. She got $6,530 off. Now that's a $44,000 vehicle. So if she had $6,000 of negative equity to bring over, she could do it, because she got a $6,500 discount off the car she was buying. So this is the basis for understanding no money down, Mary. And a key is for you to understand you need to be shopping for the price of your vehicle. The vehicle you're going to buy, you should be shopping for that with an out the door price, not with a loan. So let's say you are like, I want to buy a Hyundai Elantra. You should target whatever Hyundai Elantra you want, get the equipment, and then get a bunch of offers to see who's going to give you the biggest discount, because they're not all the same. They're very different. This isn't the Apple store. You could go to the Apple store in California, the iPhone's the same as the one in Florida. You go to a Hyundai dealership in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, it's an entirely different price from, Inglewood, New Jersey. And total different price than, Metuchen, New Jersey. They're all different. And that's what you have to understand. When you're shopping for your vehicle, you're shopping for the dealer who's going to sell you the car at the best price. You will handle your financing, your down payment, your interest rates in a separate process. You don't want to mix those two. Okay? That's a good start for you understanding that you should not be in a position where they're telling you make a down payment, unless you put yourself in that position. You follow what I just talked about over the last three minutes, then you should not be in that position. You should understand when a down payment is not necessary. And almost anyone can do these deals with no down payment. Go ahead, Dolan. Let's shoot the next one up. Keep typing your questions. We'll keep getting to them. What's up, Josh? Thank you for liking the video. I see you. Thank you, Bianca. Welcome to the people who are shared. Malik, 621, thank you for sharing. Shout out to the sharers. I see you. It does not go unnoticed. I appreciate everybody who shares, hit that share button, and sends this broadcast to some other people. I appreciate you. All right, AG, car shopping for a used Tesla X, how to save or haggle. There's two types of used car dealerships. When I worked at Mercedes, the first Mercedes-Benz dealership I worked at, big markups, wants to negotiate. Big markups. $7,000, $10,000 markups, very exclusive cars in the particular case. But even if they didn't, they didn't have to have Mercedes. There's other dealerships that do this. They're going to leave themselves big markup, and then they're going to say, hey, let's negotiate. This is also for dealers who get a lot of traffic walk-ins. They're either on a highway. They know that we're going to get 50 people on a Saturday to walk in, so they can charge. They put these prices up. And they're not trying to really sell them online. They're trying to sell them to the unsuspecting locals. Now, different dealership says, I'm only going to mark my cars up $1,500 because I want to sell a lot of them. This is an entirely different model, different mindset, different process. Where you will get in trouble is when you're talking to a dealer, or you're about to buy, you're trying to buy from a dealer that has the $1,500 markup, has already priced their car better than anyone, and you're trying to get $2,000 off because you think you're talking to the markup dealers. That's when you end up losing. So how do we know the difference? We use a process. In my book, I have a process called the multiple marketplace strategy, where we have all the marketplaces open where used cars are. if a used car is not on a website, you should not be talking about. You shouldn't be talking to anyone about it. If you can't find a vehicle on a website, a public marketplace, where every dealer wants to sell their cars, do not negotiate on these cars because they can make up prices. Let's say if it was on a website, it'd be 26. You come in, you're like, hey, I like that blue car. Hey, how much y'all asking for it? What's to stop them from saying, hey, yeah, it's not on the website yet. We're going to be asking 29. And then you're like, oh, that sounds kind of high. Well, what did you think? I'm trying to get to like 24. Now, meanwhile, if you'd have sold for 26, you probably would have, asked for, but because you think he's asking 29, now he could talk you down to 26 and you think you got a good deal. Meanwhile, the price they should have listed it for was 26 to begin with. So that's why it's a dangerous, unwinnable game to ever negotiate with a used car that you can't find on a marketplace, public, because that's where their competition is. So we're going back to our system. We're opening up all the marketplaces, CarMax, Carvana, Driveway, eBay Motors, Cars.com, Auto Trader, Car Gurus, and Carfax. 8 marketplaces. Now, all of these marketplaces have different cars. And sometimes you will see a marketplace that has a car here for 34, but the same car is on another marketplace for 32 because they lowered the price. But because you only look at Car Gurus and you're not looking at Carfax, you didn't see that when they lowered the price, this website updates faster than this one. So that's why we're on 8 marketplaces. And then we're narrowing it down based on the first thing you need to do is look at assess the market, I call it. In my book, in my multiple marketplace strategy, this is called assessing the market. What's the low prices? What's the high prices? Where the low side at? Low side is around 22. Okay, I see that. Now, the 22s are going to be garbage cars, accidents, frame damage, title messed up. But every now and then you see one for 22.5, 23, and it has a good Carfax and it has good service record, but it may not be the color you want. So now that has already set the market for you. I want it black, but I see a white one here. It has everything I want, but it's not the color. That means the low side of the market for that car is that. That's assessing the market. So now we're trying to find a vehicle there because, again, there's 3 prices that you can pay for any car. Market value, that's what negotiators pay. Above market value, that's what people who don't negotiate, can't negotiate, don't like negotiating pay. And then you got below market value, which is what people who use competitive bidding and put dealers against each other pay. Now, when we look at these low market, now we're trying to see, do we wait for a vehicle to pop up and can we screen down a couple vehicles to get to a top 3 or top 5 best choices? Once we do that, those are the vehicles, AJ, that we're going to see if we can make a final deal on, because they're already at the low side of the market. So what's going to happen? Either they're at the low side of the market and you're dealing with a dealer like the first Mercedes dealer I worked up, meaning they're not going to sell the car for that price. They're going to try to mark up prep fees and marketing fees and all types of bogus fees, but they want you to come in first. They're not going to put that online. They want people to come in and say, hey, I saw this car. And then by the time, who's ever sat down, be honest, if you've ever sat down, you came to look at a car, they were asking like 22. But by the time everything got added up, they slapped like $7,000 more on it. Warranties, all types of stuff. And you're like, wait, who's had that happen? Type me if that's happened. And I need you to dialogue. Listen, I'm talking to the locked in people. Right, I see you, Josh, 100%. Okay, so this is a tactic. Look, absolutely. So this has happened to Judy, a lot of people. This is a strategy. It didn't happen by accident. They're purposely depending on people coming in, not calling in advance, and then they want to negotiate with them. Goes back to the first deal I said about the first deal I worked at. They want to negotiate. So the prices are so now that's what we verify. That's what we're only calling those top 3 to 5 dealers and saying, hey, besides besides the price here online, what fees do you charge? Once they say, oh no, tax, title, fee, doc, all right, now we know our last step is we need to get the original window sticker price so we can find out the true discount. Because we need to know, AJ, if we're dealing with a dealer who has the markup or not. And we never ask them for a discount over the phone. We go there because you got to understand these. I'm telling you how dealers operate because I've been inside. Every dealer who puts a used car on a website, we use a tool called V-Auto. It tells us where the vehicle we have priced at, where it ranks in the pricing. It'll tell us if we're in the top 3 best prices within 50 miles. It tells us that. So when you ask them for, hey, can you take off $2,000, $1,000 over the phone, especially if the car just got there, they're going to say, nah, listen, you can come in, we can see, but the car just got here. What we do is we drive there. We already know it's the best price on the market. So either way, we're coming home with a car. Unless it just doesn't drive well or something like that. Every now and then that happens. But usually when we leave and we know we've done our assessment from home, we're going to make that deal. That's how I did with my Infinity truck. I just had to test drive it, lock the deal up. When we do that, that's all we're doing when we get there. And we already know. Now, what we'll do, we'll ask them, hey, could you take off another $1,000? If they have it, they'll do it. If they don't, they might say, listen, we don't have it. The car just got here. I only got the car marked up. You see, we know they're telling the truth because we've done the research online. So now you know if you're programmed to only, hey, if I don't get 2,000 off, 3,000 off, then I can't buy it. And you're going to miss the dealers who want to, they literally put their cars online. They want them going in 24, 48 hours. They make sure they're the best price and they sell lots of used cars. You go in there trying to get 2,000, 3,000 off from them, you're missing opportunities. That's how it goes. Okay, this is all, that's all part of my multiple marketplace strategy. It's in my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. As part of my welcome offer, you can get your copy for 75% off, but it's only for 30 minutes. So you go to my TikTok bio or my Instagram bio, the YouTube comments, or the Facebook comments. You won't pay the normal $97 price, but it's only for 30 minutes. And then you'll have everything we'll be talking about on the stream step by step. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Okay, Mel, what's going on? A 5-year loan to buy a 2022 Jeep Compass. Is it good to trade in for a lease now? So this sounds like, Mel, you figured out you should be leasing, not buying. And now you're like, should I make that move now? In my book, step 1 is the leasing versus buying question, because this is the foundation of your car deal. You need to know how you're going to beat depreciation. So normally what happens is when people learn about the 8-year rule, which says if you're not buying a car to keep it for 8 years, then you should be shopping for a below market lease, not a purchase. So when people learn that, oftentimes they're like, okay, I know I'm not keeping this car. I'm in 8 years. Should I wait or should I transition to a lease now? There is no benefit to you waiting. As long as your equity situation isn't so bad where it's going to stop you from transitioning to a lease, the play is to move to a lease as soon as possible, because you're not going to get the money back you're putting into owning these cars. The only people that get the money back for owning these cars are long-term owners. 8 years, 10 years. We got people on here who have cars. I'm sure some of you have had cars for 8, 10, 12 years, maybe even more. We usually get somebody on here that has a car for more than 15 years. This is the people who get all the money out the cars. So if you're keeping a car in a short term, you're not getting the money out of them. You're putting the money in, But then when you go to replace it and you see how much you're getting back for it, you're like, wait, all this money I put in, this is all I'm getting back. That's why you don't want to put the money in. And that's what happens with below market leases. You look at somebody like Zafrina. Zafrina's driving a $65,000 vehicle, Jeep Grand Cherokee. I got it here on the screen. She's paying $579 a month, no money down. So $65,000 vehicle, that would normally be $1,200-1,300. She's paying $579 a month, no money down. She's never putting the money in. Raphael, she has a Jeep. This is her second car using our process. This is my second car. Look, she said it worked. Follow a 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4x4. MSRP is $46,000. Well, it's $45,900, but let's say 46. Payments $549. That's a 1.19% lease. That's normally at $45,000 before we even throw the taxes in. That's normally a $900 payment on a 5-year loan. You can type that into any auto loan calculator and see. So you're going from $900 to $549. $900 is what people are paying to buy, unless they put more money down. And then, see, people never factor in their money down. So that's why I always, when I'm talking to you, I'm going to let you know how much it costs with no money down. Because if it's $900 a month with no money down, but you decide you want to put $15,000 down, you can't tell people, well, my car payment's only $700 a month. What about the $15,000? Let's divide that, and then you'll see, no, it was actually $900 a month that you put into this vehicle. So that's why I compare, in every case, no money down, so we can really see how much these vehicles are costing us. So when you're paying $900 a month, you need to try to get that money back. And after a while, you'll see if you pay the car off and you keep it a long time, it makes sense. If you keep a car, somebody just said I had an 03 Camry from day one. Look, 307,000 miles. Now, time heals all wounds. He could have paid $10,000 too much for that Camry. Just overpaid. He didn't know what he was doing. It was supposed to be 20. They charged him 30. But if he kept the vehicle 20 years, do you see how that doesn't quite matter? What would matter is the short term. The short term. So the key is understanding, if I'm not keeping my vehicle long term, 8+ years, I shouldn't be buying, because I'm not going to beat the depreciation. I should be shopping for deals like Raphael got, like Zafrina got, like Jen got, like Ansley got, where they're leasing these vehicles, driving brand new cars, not putting a lot of money into them. They're paying cents on the dollar. These are below market leases. These aren't regular leases. And then you're beating depreciation that way because you're not putting a bunch of money into these vehicles. So there's no benefit, Mel, in waiting. You should do your equity assessment. You've already done step one, deciding whether you're going to buy or lease. Now you move to step two in our process. That's the equity assessment, where you call your bank, get your payoff, then go to the 6 websites we teach that pay cash: CarMax, Carvana, Driveway, KBB Instant Cash Offer, Car Gurus, AutoNation. Once you do your equity assessment, it's going to tell you, do you have positive equity, negative equity? And then you will move to the third step, but you have to do that first. So, but there's no benefit in waiting. None. Not one benefit in waiting longer to stay in a bad financial structure when you can go into a lease. Great question. All of this is in my new digital book. For those of you, you're sitting there, you're like, Deshone, there's no way I'm going to remember all of this stuff. We haven't even started warming up yet. You can grab my digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It has everything in there step by step, leasing step by step, purchasing new cars step by step, purchasing used cars step by step, making banks bid for your loan step by step. And you can get it for 75% off as part of my welcome offer in my TikTok bio or my Instagram bio. Click the website there, and or YouTube comments or your Facebook comments, and you can get it for 75% off, which will be $24 instead of the $97. But it's only for 30 minutes. Once 30 minutes expires, the welcome offer does go away. And $97 is still a great price for what you're going to get, but 24 is better. Okay, go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Just got the book the other day. Awesome, Mel. And I see you already made the decision about the step one, which is great. Just move to the equity assessment and just keep checking off the steps. Just trust the process. You're going to be just fine. Thoughts on leasing versus financing? Well, T, this is exactly what we just spoke about. I have a very clear rule. It's called the 8-year rule. where it says if you're not buying your vehicle to keep 8 years, you should be leasing. And not just getting any lease, you need to get a below market lease, because some people will tell you leasing, this is when you know it's bad. When a dealer tells you leasing is the same price as buying, you're dealing with an 80% dealer, which means they are going to charge you a lot of money. And that lot of money is trying to discourage you from leasing, but that's not what a lease deal would be if you shopped around. So look at Ansley. Ansley has a 2024 Infiniti QX60. It's a $58,000 vehicle. He got it for $554 a month. Only first month's payment down. I want you to pay attention to these details. We're not putting money down to get to these payments. These are what is called 1% leases, or anything below 1.5 we consider a good deal. Anything below 1% we consider it a steal. So it's a steal, it's a deal. And over 1%, over 1.5%, I say in my book, it's time to chill. We don't lease those. We don't sign those leases. They're bad lease deals. But look at Jen. Jen pays $512 a month. Now, normally these vehicles that they're buying would be $300 to $400 more per month if they bought them. So when you take somebody like Danielle's Audi. It's a $45,000 Audi, 44 and change. If she bought that vehicle, she's looking at a $900 a month payment, no money down, 5 years. She's leasing it, no money down, $550. So she's paying, call it almost $400 less per month, because we didn't even put the taxes into the price of the vehicle. So if we put taxes into that MSRP, then it might be around $48. And her payment's probably going to be about $950 for 5 years. She's paying $550. Now, let's just to give you an example to understand it deeper, let's say she got a big discount off this Audi. Let's say they knock off even $10,000 for her, which would never happen. But let's just say she knocked off, I just want to prove a point here. Instead of 48 with the taxes, let's say she gets a big discount. She's at 38 now. How much is the payment on $38,000? Some of you know every $5,000, and that's going to be a little, roundabout math for you to do. Every $5,000 is about how much per month? Let's talk to the people who know this. Every $5,000 on a car loan that you look at every $5,000 is about how much per month? Not 1,000, Mel. I think you typed an extra zero by accident. Yes. $100. Yes, $100. Yes, I see a lot of people. Look, thank you, Cleef. Yes, I listen, man. I love the locked in people. Shout out to the people who locked in, following, and learning from what we're talking about here, not just letting it go in one ear and out the other. So when you look at a $10,000 car, you should automatically think that's $200 a month. $20,000 car, $400 a month. $80,000 car, you should be thinking, okay, that's $1,300 a month. So when you have these parameters, you don't get in trouble and you don't let people slap you in long loans. And how my payment so low? That's because you're in a 9-year loan. So when you have these parameters, you can't be tricked. So let's go back to, if she got a big discount off that Audi, 38 instead of 48. She's still looking at a $750 payment, $775. She's paying $550. So that is an example of how it's nowhere close. Even with the biggest discount you would get off of a brand new car, a below market lease is still so much lower from an investment standpoint, from what's coming out of your household. And let's take one more scenario, and this is all tied into the 8-year rule. When I say you can make it easy on yourself and just say, if I'm not keeping the car 8 years, I'm going to shop for a below market lease. Now I'm explaining the math behind it so that there's math behind it. So all right, I didn't just pull the 8 years out of my hat and say, hey, there's math behind it. So let's look at one more scenario. Let's say Danielle, somebody says they want to get a used Audi, because there's some of you you're like, well, Deshone, what if I buy used? Does it still make sense? Does the 8-year rule still apply? Because I'm going to knock, 20, 30% off the price. If I get it used, now it makes sense to buy, right? No, it doesn't. Let's go deep on this. So let's say Danielle, instead of 44, where her Audi is, let's say she finds a nice one for 28. 3, 4 years old. I'm being generous. She finds a nice one for 28. With taxes, let's just round it out to 30. That's her all-in price. She finds her a nice 3 to 4-year-old Audi. 1 year left on the warranty, and then she's going to be on her own. $30,000. What's her payment? 5 years. What's her payment? Let's go. Type in. $30,000, $600 a month. Thank you. $600 a month. So we just took some very clear scenarios, and we took 35,000 would be 600 a month. Would be 700. Josh, 30,000 is going to be 600. Yep, you got it. I see you updated it. So now let's look at this. We have a scenario where Danielle's driving a brand new Audi for the next 3 years, $550 a month. Had she bought a brand new one with a dramatic discount, she's still be with a regular discount, she's going to be $900 a month. With a dramatic discount, she's still going to be it was close to it was 38. So 38, still close to almost $800 a month, $775. Then with her used version, if she bought a used version and got a great price on it, 28 plus tax, she's at $600. So every one of those scenarios is much more expensive than the purchase and then the lease, than the below market lease. And frankly, you can't really compare a 3-year-old, 4-year-old Audi to a brand new one. You just can't. Because you're only you're paying $600 a month, I'm paying $550, but the benefits even outweigh that. You're gonna have no warranty after a year. Anything goes wrong, you're on your own. You're going to, 3 years from now, your vehicle's going to be 7 years old. 3 years from now, I'm going into a brand new, another version, 2028 or whatever's going to be out then. So there's no comparison. When does the buyer win? The buyer wins in the long run. You can see the buyer's losing in the short term, right? In every one of those scenarios I just laid out, the buyer is clearly losing. Brand new car buyer paying $300, $400, $500 a month more than the below market lease, losing. The used person got a payment closer to the below market lease, but look what they're driving. 3, 4-year-old car. It's going to have no warranty soon. They're going to be on their own. And then the majority of that time they have it, they're going to have no warranty. That is the life of the buyer. But after 8 years, the money paid starts to stack for the lease person. Because if I'm paying $550 a month, all right, let's say Danielle gets 3, 4 Audis in a row. She just got 4 Audis, every single one of them, she gets below market deal $550. Below market deal $550. After she gets to year 8, she's paid more than these other people. Year 8, she's paid more. So at that particular point, financially, the buyers are ahead. But before that, the buyers have lost because Danielle's driving better vehicles for less. That's why it's the 8-year rule. This is the first decision you make, because if you make this wrong, you lost. If you go in to buy a car, if you go in and you buy a car, but you should have leased, you lost. I just showed you. Doesn't matter how good of a deal you got. Man, Deshone, they knocked 15% off for me. Does not matter. If you're going to replace that vehicle in 3, 4, 5 years, you would have been better off getting a below market lease and never tying up all of that money in the vehicle. That makes sense? Type $signs if you're clear on that. Type $sign, $sign if you're clear on that. All of this is in my new digital book. That's step 1. It's called Cars from Home. It's 5-star rated. Thank you to everyone who's reviewed the book and rated it. And it's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. That was step 1, which is our leasing versus buying question. That's how we put our deal on the right foundation. And that's the most important question. It's literally called that in the book, the most important question. How many years are you going to keep the next car? That's when we decide leasing versus buying. So as part of my welcome offer, you can get your copy of Cars from Home for 75% off in my TikTok bio or my Instagram bio. Go to click the picture of me, click the website. and then you can activate your 75% off for the book, but it's only for 30 minutes. Also in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments. After that, price goes back up to $97. Welcome offer is gone, but go get your book and come on back to the show. And make sure when you get the book, you screenshot the thank you page, because on that thank you page is the link to open the book. I also email you a copy, but sometimes you type in your email wrong, you type in too fast, and that screenshot has my support team's email, where you can email my support team just in case you type your email wrong and your book's not in there. So go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Just keep them coming. Keep typing your questions, y'all. We will get to as many as we can while we're on. How do you calculate the negative equity? This is a great question. Negative equity, you want to calculate based on your highest possible offers. When you calculate your negative equity based on anything but your highest offers for your vehicle, then you are now putting yourself in a position where you have more negative equity than you would have. So let's say you go into a car dealership, which we never do, and talk numbers. We go into a car dealership, test drive, pick up our car, but you're there, you're talking numbers. Now they look at you and they tell you your car is only worth 16. You have $6,000 of negative equity. That means you owe 22. So your car's worth 16, you owe 22. They're telling you you have $6,000 of negative equity. Now, the problem is, if you believe that without actually doing what we call the equity assessment, which is getting bids for your car from companies that pay cash. They buy cars same day, you come out, or sometimes they send an inspector. It's a very quick process. They cut you a check and they pick up your car, right? There's 6 companies we use right now to do that. Carvana, CarMax, Driveway, Kelly's Blue Book, Instant Cash Offer, AutoNation, and Car Gurus. Now, these 6 companies bid, we get their bids. Now, let's say CarMax decides they can pay you $19,000. You owe 22. How much negative equity do you have now? The dealer, your car was only worth 16 to them, but to CarMax, it's worth 19. So instead of 6,000 negative equity, you only got 3,000. But if you didn't get the highest offers for your vehicle, your negative equity is going to appear larger. It's going to be larger. And it's not because it should have been. It's because you didn't employ strategies to maximize your vehicle's value by putting it on the open market. You wanted to do a quick deal and you took less money than you could have gotten trading in a car. We don't do that. So, Mary, we do the equity assessment. That's going to tell us right then and there how much negative equity we have or how much positive equity we have. It takes 15, 20 minutes to do. Just go to those 6 sites. That's in my book, Step by Step. That's step 2, the equity assessment. Once we actually decide whether we're going to buy or lease, that's step 1. Now we move to step 2, which is the equity assessment. We don't move forward until we found out what our equity position is. Okay, does that make sense? All right, go ahead, Dolan. Next question. And some of you are going to find out that you have more equity than you thought, and you don't have to wait to sell your car. So, I've had people who thought they had to wait until the car was paid off. If you ever, you might have thought, Sean, I thought I had to have my title to sell a car. No, you don't. You can sell a car you still have a loan on. Absolutely. And the reason I know this, people think this way, because when I was at the dealership, people would walk into the dealership. I get a guy who's like, hey, is that the new version there? That's the 2020 whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's the one just came out. He's like, all right, I got 3 more payments left, and then I'm gonna come see you for that. I'm like, what? Hold on, let me talk to you. Because someone told him, and it could have been based on 30 years ago. Maybe there was a time when you couldn't sell a vehicle without paying it off and having the title. I don't know. But in this particular case, it makes no sense to run a race, pay off a car, and then turn around and go get another car. You should be leasing. Because that's one of the downfalls of leasing is you always have a payment. Now, there's benefits there, but if you are buying and you always have a payment, because literally as soon as you pay off your car, you go get another car, and then you go get another car, and you always have a payment, you've never reached the reward stage of buying. So, IG, how would you know a car is below market value? Who to believe? CarMax? No, this is not. We don't believe companies. You know a car is below market value by looking at the market and getting multiple offers. There is no quick, oh, let me plug this in and this tells me this. We don't trust anyone. There's no trusting or believing anyone. You want to assess the market. If I'm looking at a bunch of used cars and I'm looking at, okay, 2020 to 2022 Honda Civics, I can see what the low side of the market is. They're at 19. I can see the middle of the market is about 23. Then I can see these all of my other ones, they high. I need to know where the low side of the market is. If I'm leasing, everything we do with buying, if we're buying a new car or we're leasing, we use a strategy in my book called the 25 to 5. We connect with 25 dealers online. We're going to get 5 offers. This is for new cars and leases. Assessing the market for these cars comes through multiple offers. So when I look at, let me give you an example. I use an example like Teddy. So Teddy gets multiple offers. How does he know that his BMW deal is a below market deal? Says here, look, the post is a bit wordy, but I'm too pumped. I will never lease another vehicle any other way. From start to finish, this deal took 6 days. Connected with 25 dealers online. We do this in 20 minutes. I show you in my book how to do this in 20 minutes. 4 nearby states. He's on the Indiana border. I received 10 offers. I only use the scripts provided. So I provide you with email scripts, copy and paste, because I know everything these dealers are going to say. Obviously, I was a car dealer for a long time, so I know the canned responses. So I wrote the email templates to respond to them. Now, he ends up, this is a $73,000 vehicle. He closed his deal at $856 a month, no money down. Now, how does he know $856 was the below market deal for his BMW? Because his highest offer came in at $1123. So you can see my highest offer during this process from a different dealer was $1123. Look, the dealer closest to me, the local dealer, came in at $986. So his closest dealer is $986. His highest offer is $1123. He closes his deal at $856. It's clearly below market value because he sees the market. The only way to get below market deals is to look at the market. That's why we have the best system for getting multiple offers on new cars and leases. Or if we're shopping for a used car, we're looking at multiple options. That's the only way. That's why I said there's 3 prices you can pay for any car. If you're going to buy a car, lease a car, if you're going to buy a new car, buy a used car, or lease a car, there's 3 prices you can pay. Market value, that's what negotiators get. They don't know if they're actually getting a below market deal. They're just negotiating to try to get to the bottom. But they don't know they're at the bottom because they don't even know if they're at the dealership. Let's just say, let me go back to Teddy's deal. Let me show you an example of why you can't get a below market deal from the wrong dealer. This Teddy's local dealer comes in at $986 a month. Now, we have counter offer calculators in my book. His $986 from his local dealer is not the first offer. That's the last offer. That's, hey, we're not doing anything lower than that. The highest offer, $1123. We're not doing anything lower than that. So if somebody's in there and they're negotiating with one of those dealers, they're not going to get to $856. They're at the wrong dealer. They're at an 80% dealer, and 80% dealers want to make a certain amount of money or they're not going to sell the car. If they can't make $5,000, they're not going to sell a car. $7,000, whatever it is, I'm not going below this. Meanwhile, the dealer who beat everyone's offer at $856, maybe they only made $2,000. Maybe they only made $3,000. Who knows? But the point is, they said, I don't need to make all that. I'm going to beat my competition and sell this person a car. That's a 20% dealer. That's why I say negotiators pay market value. People who don't, if you don't negotiate and you're like, man, Deshone, I just go and I close my eyes and just wake me up when it's over and I could drive out of here. You're going to pay above market value. So you're gonna, because you just don't have any, you don't have any fight in you, you have no strategy. But below market is reserved for the people who are putting dealers against each other, because it's the only way to know you got a below market deal is when you can look at enough options and know that you paid less. It's like this with anything. It's not just cars, TVs the same way. If you were buying a 100-inch TV, how would you make sure you're getting a good deal? You're going to look at probably 30, 40 TVs in every website. Then you're going to be, oh, this one's on sale, $699. All the rest of them is $900 and $1,000. Clearly, that's the below market deal. Same principles. Same principles. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. You know, coincidence. All I do is teach you to shop for cars like you shop for everything else. Everything else in life, you shop this way except cars. Cars, you shop a way you wouldn't shop for anything else the way you shop for cars. Think about that. Am I right or am I right? Type right if you know I'm right. The way you shop for cars and buy cars, you won't buy anything else like that. You don't buy houses like that. You don't buy jewelry like that. You don't buy maybe jewelry. That's a little, you know, because it's sometimes tough to put people against it. But you don't buy TVs like that. You don't buy furniture like that. Just walk in and all right, go back and forth. No, you're comparison shopping. You're using the internet as your friend to get the information and start to have multiple options. That's all we do when it comes to cars. That's why we win easily. It's no struggle when you're using the internet to put people against each other. The struggle is going in and battling and begging someone to take money off when you're already about to spend 30, 40 grand with them. Imagine that. You're about to make a $40,000 transaction and you're just begging, come on, can you take off another 500? Just $40,000. All right. Best SUV to buy. This is all subjective. If you want to look at ratings, feel free to do that. I don't recommend cars because it's just too subjective. There's over 40 car companies. All of them have vehicles in every size category: compact, midsize, large, 3 rows. So there's so many categories. The key is this: find one you like based on looks. I like the look of that. And then you can come home and do what we call a quality check. This is in my book. This is in step 4. This is when we make sure the car we're shopping for is a good car. Some vehicles have a bad DNA. I want you to remember this. DNA you can't get around. You cannot repair DNA. So if a Nissan has a particular transmission that goes out between 80 and 90,000 miles, I never get it, because I would never buy that car, because there's nothing I can do to escape what might happen. It's just literally the luck of the draw. Maybe mine doesn't go out at 80, 90,000, but these vehicles are known for the transmissions going out from 80 to 100,000 miles. That's why you'll notice a lot of Nissans for sale. They got like 80,000 miles on them, 90, because people get rid of them right when the transmission starts slipping or right before it goes out. That's what happens. So you can, and this is not all Nissan. So you need to, we always type in the actual car to Google, and we type in 2000, we put the year, the make, the model, 2000 Honda Accord reliability, 2018 Nissan Altima longevity. There's three words that we use that you need to get familiar with: initial quality, reliability, longevity. This takes 5 minutes to do. Initial quality tells you, what does the data say? What are people saying about the vehicle the first 90 days? So if you're leasing a car, you're going to buy a car new or you're going to lease it, you need to know what the initial quality reports are. What are the owners saying the first 90 days of the vehicle? Is it in the shop? Is it electric problems, little malfunctions, blind spot, whatever? That's initial quality, first 90 days. Reliability is your first 3 years. So you need to know, what are people saying about this car, not my neighbor. Not my neighbor. My neighbor owns one of them. There's 10,000 out here. What are they saying? Maybe my neighbor got a good one. You know what I'm saying? Your neighbor might have just got a good one. But I need to know, what are people saying about this vehicle the first 3 years? That's reliability. And then longevity is the long run. 7, 8 years, the engine. People, you're going to see people like Motor Trend and Vehicle Engines, all these websites that all they do is study engines and longevity. What are they saying about this vehicle? Are they saying that the transmission's known to go out? Sometimes you'll type in 2018 Kia Sorento longevity and you'll see right at the top, with proper maintenance, these vehicles are known to last 200,000 miles. That's a good sign. Now all we need to do is make sure we're getting a good one that has been properly maintained. But that's the DNA. So when you ask the best SUV to buy, my goal for you is to avoid the vehicles that have bad DNA. They have bad data. Could be a year. Could be the 2018 was trash, but then they saw that the 2018 was trash and they changed it, and then they made a better 2019. So it's all up to the year. I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. That's in step 4. See, that's shopping, not buying. We have 7 steps in our process. Most important question, step 1, equity assessment, step 2, deal focused budgeting, step 3, shopping, not buying, step 4, multiple offers, multiple options, step 5, paperwork and protection, step 6, and delivery is step 7, pickup or delivery. That's it. So everything I'm teaching on the stream is always going to be out of one of those steps. And for those of you who have the book, here's what you should always be asking yourself. Where am I at in the process? What step am I at in the process? Because you've come from not having a process. So you don't know what to do first. Should I be thinking about my trade-in? Or, oh, matter of fact, wait, he said don't trade. And then, all right, when do I get my loan? Do I get a pre-approval? You don't know where these things go, what order they go in. But I do. That's why we created a 7-step process that accounts for everything. So you always want to be asking yourself, where am I at? What step am I on to make sure, all right, listen, why am I focused on budgeting right now? And I haven't even decided how many years I'm keeping the car. That's my first step. That's what it's about. Okay, Judy, my Jeep lease is up in 2 months. Strange lease of 5 years. Would you finance the car at the end? You've had the car long enough and you're not owning it. So whatever type of financial deal that you went in on this, it was not a good deal because you're paying way too long on a car that you're not going to own. That's the reason we don't buy our leases. We don't do 4-year leases. Paying too much, unless you're paying like $200 a month or something ridiculously low, where you add up all the payments, add them all up. Look at it. All right, I gave them $2,000 up front, and then I paid $400 a month, and I've been paying $400 a month for 5 years. That's 60 months. All right, wow. All right, I paid them a lot of money. Add that up, and you'll see, compared to the MSRP, I paid way too much for this car that I'm giving back. So that's why I wouldn't suggest you buy it, because if you're not going to keep it long term, normally with a lease, it's broken into 2 sides. It's a part you're going to use, and then it's a part you're giving back to them. You're not paying towards that part. Let's say it's 50-50. You could stretch your side out. You got to pay half this car. You could stretch that out for 4 years or 5 years. But it has nothing to do with that back end. You're still going to owe. If you want to buy this thing, you still got that other half. So I don't know what your lease deal is, but if it's structured like a normal lease, you've just broken down your side. You're not paying it. Now, if you've paid into the car, 60, 70% of the car, but I don't think you have, because that wouldn't be a lease. That would be a loan. That would be like, hey, I'm paying the car off. I paid it off for 5 years. I only got 2 years of payments left. I should only owe a small amount. If that was the case, then that's different. But on a lease, if you just took a 5-year lease, then you're paying your half. You're not paying towards the back. So you might have a very, very low payment, but you're not actually building, you're not paying towards the car. You're only paying towards the half you're going to use. So in that particular case, I would give the car back. Now, again, I don't know the exact details, but that just doesn't, but here's the benefit of leasing is cents on the dollar. Look at somebody who has a Jeep. You can see here, Raphael got her Jeep. It's a $46,000 Jeep. She's paying $549 a month, no money down. So she's putting into this car $549. Let me do some math. This is why when we get away from these structures, it doesn't make sense anymore. $549 times 36, that's $19,700. Now, going back to her deal, the vehicle itself is $45,900 plus tax and fees. She's going to pay $19,000 over 3 years. That's less than what the vehicle would normally depreciate. So her vehicle that's 46 minus 19, about 27 is what's left, not to mention her tax. This is why you have to be judging the lease deal. Leasing is all about, I need a low payment and I need to pay less than I would have tying up all of this money. So once we get into these long leases, we've defeated the purpose. We've defeated the purpose of leasing. So I wouldn't finance the car at the end, Judy, unless you look at your deal and you can see that you only owe like another 10 grand or something, or 12 grand. Then okay, maybe you do pick it up on the back end, but then you should have equity, because if it's going like a normal loan and you've been paying for 5 years, you should do your equity assessment. You have equity, but if you're in a 5-year lease, you won't have equity. All right, it's just, that's a strange structure for sure, like you said, and never do it again. Unless I'm wrong about it, that's just not something that you want to do again. And hopefully you had a super low payment and you just kept the payment low for 5 years. But again, you're in the same car. There's no warranty. It's just, let's do something different. There's much better ways to benefit financially and drive, nice vehicles. Yep, you got it, Elaine. Thank you. Thanks for always tapping in. I always see your comments on my videos. I appreciate it. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Okay. Rita, what have you heard about the 2024-2025 Nissan Kicks? I would look at what we said over the last 7-8 minutes when we're checking the DNA of a vehicle. I ran down how we check reliability, initial quality, and longevity, and I would let it go from there. I don't give my opinions on cars. Now, what I do is I'm preparing these top 5 reports. So that's something we want to launch big in the next 2-3 weeks. We want to start giving you, based on the data, what are the top 5 worst SUVs, compact SUVs? What are the top 5 worst luxury cars? What are the top 5 best compact luxury cars? So we want to give you those things based on data, but that's not my opinion. You don't want to take someone's opinion on a car. You want to go where the data goes, because the data polls tens of thousands of people who have the car, and they report, this is what people are saying. This is what most people are saying. And that's all we want to focus on. But what I do, Rita, is go back into the YouTube video, rewind about 7-8 minutes. You'll hear my whole layout of how we check reliability, dependability, initial quality, longevity, how we check the DNA. That's checking the DNA of the car. And that's what's super important. You don't want to end up with a car that's in the shop every 3 months. I could teach you to get paid less than everyone. Yeah, all right, you use the strategies, you paid less than everyone. But what does it matter if you have a car that's now, every time you go out, check engine lights on, every 3 months, check engine light. What is this? So make sure you do that. Okay, and this is all in my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. We're talking about a piece of step 4, which is shopping not buying. The reason it's called shopping, not buying, is because shopping is deciding what you want. Now, you're not taking enough time to do that. You are letting people rush you in a lot of cases. And now, once we decide what we want, it only takes us 90 minutes to get it. You saw what Ansley said. He got his deal, Teddy, 6 days. I got my below market deal. Ansley, he got his Infinity truck. Look, he said, I started the process Saturday. I accepted a deal Monday. It's quick. By the time we hit the market, we are seeing below market deals like that. So it's not even a matter of needing a month or 2 or 3 to be able to do this. Now, if you have time, you can watch the market, because deals change every month. So you can watch the market and see, okay, let's see the lease deals next month. Let's see where the used car price is going next month. Are they going down, up? So if you have time, that's a benefit. But even if you have a week, you can still get a below market deal. So that's step 4, shopping, not buying, deciding what you want. And when you do this the way I'm teaching you, you'll never worry about getting a car and then 3 months later you're like, man, I don't like this car. I need to replace it, which is a loss because you're going to lose money because you already depreciated the car. Now you're trying to replace it. So you're going to lose probably 15% of the value, whatever you paid for it. So we don't want to do that. You want to take the time to shop. You want to choose your vehicles wisely, test drive them, and you want to enjoy the process. And you will enjoy the process when you stop mixing buying with shopping. Let me say that again for those in the back. You will enjoy the shopping process, which is deciding what you want, when you stop mixing that with buying. Hey, Charlie, we're going out this weekend. You and your mother, we're going to go test drive some cars. We're going to go see the Nissan. Then we're going to go to the Chevy dealership. And I want you to sit in the back, and I want you to make sure that you can get all your football equipment back there. We're going to look at like 3 different vehicles. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Now you're at the first dealership. You see it. Okay. All right. What do you think, Charlie? This is nice. But yeah, this is nice, Dad. I like it. Let's go see some other ones. Next thing you know, the salesman says, hey, well, we got a sale today. So 1-day sale. Oh, now you're sitting down. Now you're sitting down. What are you talking? Well, Dad, what's going on? I thought we were going to the other dealerships. Yeah, son, hold on. Me and Daddy and Mom, we're working a deal here. Next thing you know, you're buying, not shopping anymore. And this is how you leave money on the table. Don't shop competitors. This is a tactic. Call them the showroom shackles. They want you to sit down, just picture, remember this. Every time you sit down at a dealership, just picture shackles coming out of the armrest of the chair, and because isn't it like that when you try to get up? Doesn't it feel like you're shackled? When you try to get up, hey, some of you can't even get your keys back. Hey, where my keys? Hey, you got my license? Hey, who has my driver's license? Hey, did you give me back my license? So this is a tactic. So once you understand, we avoid all of this. We never talk numbers in the dealership. When we're there to shop, which is decide what we want, test drive, go home. If that's the vehicle we want, we will be reaching out to buy it from home, online, by email. And if you're going to do it your way, you can call around, you can call them, but do not discuss numbers at the dealership. It's a losing battle. You have no leverage there. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. All right. If you're getting value out of the stream, can you type a $, $, $? Just send $, $. Let me know you're getting value out of what we're doing. Every time I see the $, I appreciate it. It lets me know we're connected and you're getting what we're talking about. Thank you, Sherwin. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you. All right. Listen, let's go. Next question, Dolan. Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it. I see you. Thanks, Tracy. Which value guide do most lenders use to determine value? Probably NADA. But you should be shopping for below market deals. You could, if most people are paying 25 and the bank's using 25 as the value of the car, I don't want to pay 25. Why do I want to pay what everyone else is paying? So using the strategies we're discussing, multiple offers, low market, everything we're doing, you're in a scenario where when you pull up to someone with the same car, you've paid 2, 3, 4,000 less than them if they got market value. If they paid above market value, you might have paid 6,000 less than them. And this happens. Unfortunately, it happens sometime at one dealership. I remember I was at a Mercedes dealership and a customer comes in, he's going nuts. He's like, hey, I got an E-Class. Me and my neighbor, we go out to dinner the other night. We got the same car. I'm paying $200 more than him a month. He was pissed off. Now, how does that happen? One person paid above market value. Maybe the other person paid below market value or market value, but it's a $200 spread. Same vehicle. So when you're using what we're talking about, what you're learning in my book, what I talk about on these streams, you are not anywhere near what lenders should be looking at you and saying, man, that's be good. I don't know how you got the vehicle for that price, but that's a good loan to value ratio. In case the vehicle gets totaled, we know that we're in a good position. We know, rather than, hey, this guy has a vehicle, it's worth 27, but he bought it for 28. He's cutting this thing close. He needs gapping. So, all we care about is below market. We're not interested in none of these high prices, and how bad they are for other people, unfortunately. Go ahead, Dolan. For Countess, does it matter what type of vehicle you lease? Well, every vehicle has a different lease program attached to it. So every trim level has a different lease program attached to it. So a Mazda 3 Sport has a different lease program than a Mazda 3 Touring in many cases. Has a different lease program than a Mazda 3 Grand Touring. So every vehicle is different. Here's how I look at leasing, and here's how I want you to look at it if you want to talk value and money saving. You're looking for the car that you could drive the highest MSRP car for the lowest price. So my first lease was a Pontiac G6 $256 a month. It was like a $20,000 car in 2006. I paid a little more for it because I didn't have the credit. I had never financed the car. So I had to pay, I think I got tier 3 through my dealership. It was like maybe $40, maybe $30-something more per month that I had to pay. But my next lease was when I was at Mercedes, I leased an Infiniti that was next door. It was like a $32,000 car, $325 a month. It was an Infiniti G25. And then maybe a $35,000 car, G25. Then I leased a Q50, which was a $45,000 car, $345. Then I leased another Q50 because this was my wife's car, $365. And then I leased myself a Jeep Grand Cherokee 2018, $330, $35,000 truck, $330 a month. These are all under 1%. You take the monthly payment, divide it into the total MSRP. If it's under 1%, this is a steal. Incredible value. You're driving very expensive vehicles for very, very low payment. So, and then the last Infiniti that I got that I leased was we had 3 Q50s that my wife drove. And the last one was $365. So it kept going up by $20. Every time it would go up by $20. We had 3 Q50s. These were $44,000 vehicles. So that's how I approach leasing. Now, I might look at another vehicle, the same $45,000, but the lease program is not as aggressive. Once I shop my offers, maybe I'm at $500 because it's a different lease program. The lease program, in order to be at a 1% lease or close to it, you need a lot of support from the manufacturer. You need rebate, you need incentive, and then you need to get bids. So you can have a great lease program, but if you're at an 80% dealer, you're not going to see these deals that I've been showing this whole stream. You're not going to see any of these deals. You need a great lease program, and that combines with the bids that you're getting. And then once you get that, you can see, am I at 1%? Am I at 1.2%? Am I under 1%? Zafrina got a 0.88% lease on that Jeep Grand Cherokee, the electric version. She got a 0.88% lease. Ridiculous. $65,000 vehicle right here. She's paying $579 a month. No money down. $65,950, $579. That's a 0.88% lease. Ridiculous value. Ridiculous value. So the lower value, the lower percentage, the better. I max it out in my book. I teach you the 1.5% rule. 1.5%, we don't lease above that. We don't lease cars where the lease deal is above 1.5%, because when you add up all the payments, you're paying too much for a car you're giving back above 1.5%. It doesn't make any financial sense to lease the vehicle at that point. We just go to another vehicle. I've had people that said, Deshone, I wanted to lease the Range Rover. I got all my offers back. It was 1.6, 1.7, 1.9, 2. What do you think? I said, pick another vehicle. Go back to the Range Rover in 3 years. Maybe it'll have a better lease program then. There was a time, I remember Range Rover Sports had a great lease program. There was a time where the Velar had a great lease program. It goes away. And then they're like, hey, you know what? We need to sell some of these. It comes back. So, but it's so many vehicles out here. It doesn't make sense to lease something where you can't get it for below 1.5 or even lower, because there's just so many vehicles. You can find one with a great lease program using what I teach. Every vehicle you shop, it's only going to take you 90 minutes to see the market. Once you get to step 5 in my process and you're actually shopping the market for lease deals, it only takes 90 minutes to go to the websites, copy my scripts, and then get the offers back. So you can do this for 3-4 vehicles over a weekend if you want. But that's what you need to do. And then you determine what's the best value for me. Simple. I'm only leasing vehicles that I know I can drive them for cents on the dollar, and they're expensive vehicles. I don't even do 1.5. Sometimes you'll see somebody, they really like a vehicle. I always say, if you really like a vehicle, you shouldn't be leasing. If you're leasing, you don't love a vehicle. So let's put that out there. If you're switching vehicles every 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you don't love the vehicle. People who buy their vehicles to keep 8, 9, 10 years, then we can talk about love. But leases, they so fast. You lease a vehicle in 2.5 years, you got to start thinking about what I want next. 2.5 years, what I want next. So there's no love here. You just find something you really like that has a great lease program where you could pay these low prices, and then you move on and you do it again in 3 years. Don't fall in, that's what leasing is about. All right. So, and look, I saw somebody say that Audi, there's no rhyme or reason. All you can do is pick a vehicle, shop the market. There's no Audis have the best lease deals, Jeep Grand Cherokee, because look at how many vehicles are within Audi. You have the Audi A4, and then I told you have different trim levels. You have the Premium Plus package. You have Audi A6. You have the Honda EX, EXL, Touring. These are all different lease programs. So there's no way for you to say, oh, well, I know Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, they have a good lease program. No, you pick a vehicle, shop the market. None of these people who got these lease deals thought that, or none of the, even the people who purchased, no one, Sean saves 20 grand off his F-150 Lightning. He didn't know he was going to save that much money. Kimberly, Maserati, she gets $21,000 almost off the vehicle. She didn't know that. She didn't pick the Maserati because she knew she was going to save $20,000. She said, hey, Maserati's my first choice. Let me go shop for it. Oh, below market deal on this is $20,000 off. That's the way it works. Look, at the time last year, Eddie bought this 2023 Toyota Camry hybrid. They were extra hot at the time. He shops his best offer at that time is $2,086 off of MSRP. They had no rebates. He got multiple offers, and he said there were several dealers still charging MSRP over MSRP. Now, the market's changed on these in a year, but at the time, that was the below market deal. So no one goes in knowing how much a below market deal is going to be. You pick your vehicle, use my strategies, you get your offers, 24 hours, 48 hours, you have all the offers, you can see, how does it look? You got 5 offers, 7 offers, how does these look? Oh, wow, I'm saving $6,000. That's the best offer. All the other ones are saving me less than that. Oh, here, I'm saving 10 grand. Then you make your decision. Simple. And once you know how quick it is to actually do this, it's going to blow your mind, because you're going to say, any vehicle I'm considering, I can shop the market on it in 90 minutes and know what the below market deals are. Very empowering. So everything you're learning is out of my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home: 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. This is a 7-step process for below market leases, below market new cars, below market used cars, step by step, A to Z. There's nothing left to chance. You can get your copy of it for it's normally $97, but 75% off, as long as you get to my TikTok bio before the 30 minutes is up, or my Instagram bio, or the YouTube comments, or the Facebook comments. That's my welcome offer. It's a digital book, so it will be in your inbox immediately. As soon as you get your book, make sure you screenshot the thank you page, because that does have my support team's email, just in case you type your email wrong. We can't email a book to a wrong email, so you could always reach out to my support team. And also on that page is the link to open the book. So as soon as you get it, you might want to open it, save it to your computer, but save the master link, because anytime I update the book, you actually get the updates. A couple months ago, Vroom went out of business. Vroom used to be in our equity assessment, used to be on our used car marketplace reports. They go out of business. We got to delete them. I went into the file, removed Vroom. Everyone who opened the book after that never saw Vroom again. So you keep the master link. That way, when I update the book, you get it. I don't charge for updates. I want you to win. That's why I'm giving you the welcome offer, where you could even get it for $24 instead of $97. But even if you miss the 30 minutes, you should go and get your copy for $97, because what you're going to benefit from is going to be 10 times worth what you paid for it. But if you get there before 30 minutes, you can actually get it for $24 instead. So go get your book. I appreciate you tuning in. I want to see you win. Make sure you email me your car deals when you make them. Send them to me by email. I love to see your deals, so I can bring them into the show and keep, talk about you the same way I'm talking about everyone else. And we'll make this happen. Keep unlearning. Leave everything you learned at the door. When you get my book, don't bring any of your old ideas to me. Trust our process. Leave all of that old way at the door, and your success is guaranteed. So I'll see y'all on the next stream. God bless you. Poland's in the back. Welcome to Car Shopping Questions and Answers. I'm your host, Deshone, the Auto Advisor. This is all we do here, is make sure that you have the answers you need to shop the way you should be shopping in this car market, and in any car market. You should be putting dealers against each other. So all I do is make sure that you know what you need to do. We don't hold back. There's no fluff here. We get down and dirty. And but I do want you to lock in. If you have a notepad, you're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to watch this recording, because we're going to be going over some stuff you've never heard before. Pretty much everything we talk about here is stuff you've never heard, you've never done, and that's okay. That's why we represent unlearn, relearn. All right, we got to unlearn the old way Everything on the show is sponsored by my new digital book, Cars from Home. Thank God it's 5-star rated. Thanks to everyone who's reviewed it. You can get your copy for 75% off in my TikTok bio, in my Instagram bio, in the YouTube comments, or in the Facebook comments over the next 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes to get 75% off, and that book will be in your inbox in 5 minutes. You'll have everything we're going to talk about on the stream and more. All right, so let's get started with the first question. What's a good mileage on a decent first car? Well, you want to look at mileage per year. So if you're looking at a car that's 5 years old, you want to consider average miles driven is 10 to 12,000 miles. That's average miles for a driver. So if you look at a 5-year-old car, 60,000 miles is just fine. You're looking at an 8-year-old car, 8 times 10, 80,000 miles, 96,000 miles. That's perfectly fine average miles for that car. Now, some people like to get below average miles. That's fine too. You know, anything above that. But here's what's more important than the mileage on the car. Service records, absolutely paramount. In fact, let's go to what really makes the car good or not, the DNA of the car. The DNA of the car is things that can't be fixed even when the first owner took care of the car. You might have a car, we always do what's called an initial quality check, a longevity check, and a reliability check on each car. I'm going to show you how to do that very easily. It takes 5 minutes. All of the stuff that I'm talking to you about takes minutes, not hours to do using a computer. So when you said the DNA of a car, that's something that can't be controlled because they made it that way. So if you look at a car and it has bad electric issues, that's in the DNA of the car. Doesn't matter if it was taken care of, doesn't matter if they serviced it. It's built in. Some cars, when you do your longevity check, let's say you're looking at a 2018 Nissan Sentra. You type into Google 2018 Nissan Sentra longevity. You're going to see, hey, some of these vehicles have electrical transmission problems at 80,000 miles, 90,000 miles. It's in the DNA of the car. Doesn't matter if you got a good one. Doesn't matter if you got a bad one. Chances are you're going to deal with these issues. So what we do, any car you are looking at, a used car, I want you to type in the year, the exact year of that car, and then type in reliability. That's going to tell you what they said about the car the first 3 years. You skim the articles. You don't need to read. All you're literally doing is skimming that first page. If you see this car has less than normal reliability, less than average reliability, you want to look for red flags. Then, once it passes the reliability check, then you type in 2018 Nissan Sentra longevity. Skim the articles. You'll see things about the engine. You'll see, okay, these engines last 200,000 miles. You'll see any red flags. You look at that first page, skim it. That's going to tell you everything you need to know to see is the data showing on these cars that it's bad. Don't listen to your neighbor. Your neighbor has one car. Hey, I love this car, but there's 10,000 other people with that same exact car, and maybe 20% of them are having an issue. So go where the data is, type in that search. It's very easy to do. That's in step 4 of my book, which is called Shopping, Not Buying. All of that is we do a 7-step process, and we do not buy any car or lease any car without checking the DNA of the car, which is the data. That's more important than the mileage on a used car. Great question. Let's go. Keep typing your questions. We'll get the next one. All right, we'll get the next question. All right, let's go. Is it better to say I have a trade-in or not? Great question. We don't use the word trade-in. That's actually a curse word here, because I'm going to tell you this. If you had this phone, will you get more money? I want everybody to lock in. Stay close to your keyboards. We're going to go through as many questions as possible. If I had this phone and I wanted to sell it online, would I get more money selling it online, or would I get more money trading it in for another phone? Type into the comments. Would I get more money for this phone selling it on the open market or trading it? Sell or trade? Thank you. Sell, sell, sell. Okay, shout out to the people that are locked in. So that's a good indicator of why trading does not get you the most money. Trading is a convenience thing. Now, we used to have to sell our cars privately if we wanted to get more money. Used to have to list them on Facebook Marketplace, have a bunch of people come by your house. They're driving it. Hey, you mind if I look under the hood? Strange people. We don't have to do that anymore. Why? Because there's big companies that cut cash checks for our cars, and it's easy to find them. I'm going to give you the 6. CarMax, Driveway, Carvana, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer links you to a local dealership to get a cash offer. Auto Nation links you to a local dealership to get a cash offer. Car Gurus link you to a local dealership for a cash offer. This takes 20 minutes. This is step 2 in my book. I call it the equity assessment. You have to maximize the value of your current car. You're also going to learn that we don't mix transactions here. What does that mean? Whenever you do a trade-in, you're doing 2 transactions with one dealer. What does that mean? Every time you buy a car from a dealer, that's 1 transaction you did with that dealer. If you trade your car or sell your car to them, because that's what you're doing a 2nd transaction with that dealer. If you get your loan from them, you're doing a 3rd transaction with that dealer. And every time you do that, you're doing exactly what they want, because you're not giving you're not bidding out your loan on the open market to give multiple banks and lenders a chance to compete, and you're not listing your car on the open market, giving all of those 6 buyers that I just named a chance to compete. That's how you get the most money. You cannot get a great deal without maximizing each part of the transaction. You can't think that the same dealer that you bought your car from is going to pay you more money for your old car than anyone else would have paid you. That's why we do not trade. There's only one circumstance where you must trade. That's if you have a lot of negative equity and you can't pay the difference. So if these companies, Carvana, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, CarMax, all the companies I named, they're going to pay you more than any dealer. Now, if you have negative equity after you get those offers, then you'll see, all right, the best thing for you to do is to pay the difference. Because if CarMax's offer is 19 and no one else is going to touch that, that's going to be the smallest amount of negative equity that you can have, because you got the highest amount for the car. If you go and trade that in, that dealership might only give you 17, which means whatever negative equity you had over here selling the CarMax, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, it's going to be more because you're getting less for the car. So but if you can't pay the difference, cover the difference of the negative equity, then do a clean transaction. That's what I recommend. But some people don't have the cash to do that. Then you must trade, which means you go and whatever dealership wins your business, they're going to have to be the ones to trade, because you need them to bring that negative equity over to the new deal. That's why you must stay out of negative equity. You must learn the reasons for negative equity. You must understand what causes negative equity, and then you must stop it. Because some of you, every single transaction you do, you have negative equity. There's a reason for that. You don't understand leasing. That is your problem. That's another question we'll go into, but that is the problem. I've been doing this 14 years, working in car dealerships. I've been educating people like you online since 2021. We got thousands of students, 10,000 books. So we do this. Negative equity is caused by either a short-term emergency where you switch your cars. Hey, I needed a bigger car. I thought I was going to keep this car forever, 8, 9, 10 years. But, my wife just had triplets. We needed a bigger car. We got to switch it. That's fine if you're going to pay off the car and keep it long-term. But if you're just switching cars, hey, I get a loan, 5-6 year loan, switch the car in 2 years, 3 years, roll the negative equity over. You keep doing that. The reason is you don't understand leasing, and you're in a financial structure that is going to penalize you for these short-term trades, and when you should be learning about getting below market leases. And we talk about that a lot on the stream. So great question. We do not trade. All of this is in my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can get a copy for 75% off as part of our launch offer in my TikTok bio, in my Instagram bio, in the YouTube comment section, or in the Facebook comment section. But it's only for 30 minutes. Once the 30-minute timer goes to zero, it's $97. And it's worth every penny at $97, but $24 is better. So go there, get your book, come back to the show. All right, see you in a sec. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. $10,000 upsell. And you know what? Listen, this person grab this question, Dolan, for the next question. She said, I bought a vehicle during the pandemic, $10,000 upsell. I want to tell her about Bonita, but that'll be the next question. Let's get to C. Robinson on Instagram. We're in the midst of trying to lease a car. It's exhausting. Well, you're doing it the way they want you to do it. You're in there begging for discounts. You're in there walking into dealers, hoping you can get a good price. And what you don't understand is that 80% of dealers are overpriced. There's nothing you can do about that. Picture 10 dealerships on a block. 10 dealerships, they're all Nissan dealerships on a block. 8 of them are not going below a certain number. Doesn't matter how much you negotiate, yo, I'm not doing any better than this. And when they look at you and say, hey, Mr. Robinson, this is my best price, they're not lying. That's their best price. That's not their competition's best price. Their competition's best price is totally different. And what you have to learn is when you're looking at car dealerships, it's not like the Apple store. The Apple store, I go get an iPhone here, I could be in Southern California, it's going to be the same price. I can go up to Canada, it's going to be the same price in most cases. This is a convenience aspect. They fooled you into thinking, oh, the Nissan dealer you're at, we're just the closest one, but we're all the same. They're not the same. They compete every single day to see who's going to sell more cars. They report their numbers at the end of the month. They're competitors. They sell cars for different prices. So what you have to now do is bring that competition into your car shopping. You cannot do it going from dealer to dealer. If 8 out of 10 dealers are overpriced, then you need to figure out, how do I talk to all these dealers or communicate with them at one time to where I'm going to be able to get numbers from all of these dealers or whoever has a car, and I'm going to pick the winner. That is what we do. That's why our entire mindset and philosophy is called Cars from Home. There's only 3 reasons we're in a car dealership: to test drive, then we leave; to have our car appraised if we're selling it to a used car manager, then we leave; or to pick up our car because they don't deliver. That's the only 3 reasons. We are not there to talk numbers. We're not there to find out what's the specials of the day. We do all of that from home, online. You have the internet at your disposal. You wouldn't walk into a store to buy a $2,000 TV. Nobody would. No one who wants to get a good price on the TV, you'd be at home looking at all the TVs online and then saying, okay, boom, that's the best one. And you can make that decision in minutes because you have the internet at your disposal. It's the same way with cars. We have the online shopping system that allows you to get 5 offers because you must get 5 offers. I just told you 80% of dealers are overpriced. So that means 4 out of 5 dealers are overpriced. When you walk into Nissan and say, hey, there, can I get a quote on a lease? And they give you $799 a month, you leave saying, man, Nissan's expensive. No, Nissan of Bergen County is expensive. Nissan of Bay Ridge is expensive. You need to understand that that is one dealership. And when you grasp that, you won't be going into dealerships to get prices anymore. You'll be sitting at home like we do, getting prices online so that you can see. When you go to my book page, you'll see dozens of people. We share all. I've helped so many people learn this. I'm so fortunate because once I saw that they were able to do this, it just made me say, let me keep sharing their stories. See, anyone knows, okay, Deshone, you've been selling cars 14 years. You've been doing this since 2006. Obviously, you can get great deals. That's why all I do is share what my people who learn from me get, their deals, because they're all that matters. So you want to get 5 offers, Mr. Robinson. It doesn't matter if you're going to call and do it. Talk to sales managers. If I was calling, I would be calling and talk to salesmen. Now, who does not like talking to car dealerships? Type me in the comments. Stay close to your keyboard because I need to interact with you guys. Who does not like talking to car dealers? Because there are some people who do. When I was in Mercedes, it was some people who used to pop into the dealership every 2 months. They just come in. Hey, what are you doing here? And they're like, it's just, they get a thrill out of it. But if you don't like talking to car salesmen, type me or type hate it. I would only talk to managers if I enjoyed talking to car dealerships. I would only talk to managers if I enjoyed it. I would never be talking to car salesmen about a car deal. I would only talk to managers. That's one way to do it. But it's not as easy as our way. Now, if you're not going to use my book, talk to managers. Talk to managers. You must get 5 offers because then you're going to see how the heck is the same car, same $35,000 car. One dealership's charging me $560, no money down. One dealership's charging me $490, no money down. One dealership is charging me $395, no money down. How are these offers so different? because you're proving to yourself what I'm trying to tell you, which is 8 out of 10 are overpriced. That's their best offer. Charlie, that you've been buying cars from for 17 years, you done sent your kids to him, he might not compete. He's happy as long as you keep coming in and letting him control your deal and saying, hey, hey, I made you a good deal. But once you start putting Charlie against the competitors, you're going to see Charlie was probably overcharging you all these years. And he's happy as long as you don't shop. But everything we do is by email. We do not talk to car salesmen. Everything we do is by email. In my book, I have scripts, templates. They're all email scripts. I'm not giving you script. Hey, don't ever say you don't have a trade-in. All of this stuff they've been trying to teach y'all since 2009 that never worked, that still had you having a horrible experience. We don't do that. I'm not teaching you to go negotiate with someone who negotiates 3 times a day, 5 days a week. I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is teach you what to say by email to everything they're going to say to move the conversation forward with multiple dealerships at once so you can get 5 to 7 offers. That's why in my book, step 5 is called the 25 to 5, where we connect with 25 dealers online. We do it in 20 minutes, and you use my email scripts to move the conversation forward to get 5 to 7 offers. Once you get 5 to 7 offers, you're going to see the best one. You make your deal in literally minutes. This will take you 90 minutes. This is so simple to do. That old way you'll never go back to. That's the system for buying new cars and leases. Shopping for used cars is different. We still don't talk to salesmen, but it's a different system because we use the marketplaces. But that's your problem with shopping for a lease right now, C. Robertson. You are in the wrong places, talking to the wrong people, trying to beg for discounts when you need to step out of that and start making dealers bid. That's all in my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's the whole blueprint, step by step. You can't mess it up. We got grandmothers, single mothers, introverts. Doesn't matter. You cannot mess it up. So get your copy for 75% off in my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the YouTube comment section, or the Facebook comment section. Only for 30 minutes. Use it. You'll never have these problems again. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Great question. Let's go. Negative equity. Can I still get a good trade? Not necessarily. This person has negative equity and they're asking, can I still get a trade in value? I told you the first thing you want to do with negative equity is make sure you're getting the most money for your car. That's super important because if you could have gotten 18 for your car, but you're looking at 16 and you're saying, okay, based on 16, I have $4,000 of negative equity. Well, if you got 18, you'd have 2,000 negative equity. So part of this entire transaction, which I call the equity assessment, is making sure that I have found the buyers who will cut me a cash check and pay the most money. I do not go into dealerships and have them look at me and say, yeah, well, based on what we could pay, you got about 8,000 negative equity. Again, you're not going to pay more money than CarMax, Driveway, Carvana, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, AutoNation, and Car Guru, Sell My Car. These are 6 offers, and these are people who every day they are fighting to buy vehicles. These are the people you want to be selling your cars to. People who every day all they do is get up and buy cars. People coming in there, hey, I'm here to pick up my check. They inspect the car, go into the accounting department, cut the check. Thank you, sir. Take off the license plate. Next. This is what they do. They're not trying to sell you a car. They're trying to buy cars. That's why we want to put our car in that market. So that's the first thing. Now, when you look at that, I have 2 strategies in my book for negative equity, and then a third one that doesn't lead to a car, because there's only 2 things that I've seen that stop people from getting cars depending on their situation. Credit is too bad, negative equity is too high, and they can't transfer it. We had people, I remember I was at the dealership, I'm at Mercedes, I got people with 800 credit scores not getting a car. They could afford it, can't transfer it. The bank's not going to approve it. They got 10,000 in negative equity. They're trying to roll it over to a $40,000 car, and they're trying to do no money down. So they want to finance the tax. They want to roll in the tax, the fees, and the negative equity. Bank's not doing it. That is how you could not get a car with negative equity. But there's 2 situations where you can. First one is if you can pay that difference. I already mentioned that. You get your 6 offers: Driveway, Carvana, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, CarMax, Carvana, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, Driveway, and Car Gurus and AutoNation Sell My Car. 6 offers. If you can pay the difference, do it, because now you got a clean transaction. Now there's no baggage. I'm going in to shop for my car. Now, you have to time your transactions. In the book, I teach you how to time the transaction. You're not selling the car to them right away because you got to go find your car first. But here's another great thing about these companies. When you find out your car is worth 18, that's my highest bid. Now let me go shop for my new car. I'm going to keep y'all right there. I might not sell my car to y'all for 30 more days or 45 more days, but y'all going to be right there. They're not going to be like, hey, we only want to buy the car today. If you don't sell it to us today, we don't want it. No, they're going to be there in 30 days. Now, the offer might change a little. I always say you run it again every 2 weeks. See if it's changed. You know, car values do drop, but usually by a small amount. But the point is, once you know what your highest offer is, now let me start getting bids for my new car or my lease, or let me start looking at the market for my used car to find my below market used car. Once I find that car, once I find the 20% dealership, remember that if you're locked in on that 80% are overpriced and 20% are the best prices, type 20 in the comments. For the people who understand, oh, Deshone, I keep hearing you say 80% are overpriced. So that means I should be focused on finding the 20, right? Yes, type 20 into the chat. So I know you are locked in on understanding this. So now you're looking for this 20% dealer who's going to sell the used cars at the best prices, who's going to give you the best prices on the leases. I'm not seeing enough 20s come in the chat. Come on, y'all, lock in. Don't be distracted. It's too many things. Don't be reading other people's comments. We got some weirdos that come in every day. They talking about stuff that's unrelated because they're trying to distract you. You need to focus so that you can keep the most money in your bank account. Serious financial conversation we having right now. So now you're shopping for your 20% dealer. Now, perfect. I found my below market used car. I found my below market offer on my lease. Now, as soon as I find that, I'm asking the used car manager there that I'm about to make the deal with, can you look at my car? Can you tell me what my car is worth? Now, we do this online because a dealership, no used car manager worth their weight or worth their title can't put a number on a car without seeing it. They do it all day long. Sit there, look at the auction, put numbers on cars, So we can literally say, hey, can I send you all the information about my car? Can you give me an idea of what you could pay for it? Once we send them the year, make, model, send them pictures, they might say, okay, look, I'll give you about 17 for it. I need to see it. They're always going to say, I need to see it 100%. But you're about to go over the finish line with them. So now what they can pay for the car is what they can pay. You can't look at what CarMax was giving. You can't look at what you were getting through AutoNation, the car buy. You can't do that because, again, this is a dealership who's beat all their competition to sell you a car. That means they're selling you the car at the lowest price. The chances of them being able to beat all the competitors who wanted to buy your car is very, very slim. Very slim, almost impossible. But every now and then you will run into a deal like this. And this just happened with Melissa. Where's Melissa? Melissa, she gets her 2025 Honda Pilot. She didn't want to buy anymore because I told her about the 8-year rule. She found out she wasn't keeping her cars 8 years. She should be shopping for leases. She was spending so much money buying these cars, replacing them every 3 to 5 years, and she was losing on resale and depreciation. So once she learned about the 8-year rule, this is step 1 in my book, she said, Deshone, I'm not buying anymore. I'm going to be leasing. So she shops for her below market lease. She ends up getting a cash check. She gets her highest offer from Carvana for her old 2018. It left her with $12,000 of equity. Now, once she made her deal on the Honda, she asked the used car manager to look at the Kia. He matched the Carvana offer and gave her $12,000. That does happen sometimes. Every now and then, you're buying from a dealer and they can look at that used car and say, you know what, that car is valuable to me. And they will be able to match the offer that you got from the online buyers. But it doesn't happen in most cases. So you usually, but you don't want to get rich. You know, if I knew that I was getting 19 over here and they tried to offer me 14, that's when I'm going to be like, hold on, I might have to go and look at my other offer or my next best offer because it sounds like you're a little too low. But this is what you are. When you're at the mercy of trading, this is what you do. You can look at the market value of what you get and you're like, I know you're giving me nowhere near that. That's why I need y'all not to be trading cars. Get out of negative equity, stay out of negative equity, understand the cause for negative equity. You should be leasing cars, not buying them. The reason you have negative equity is because you buy cars, take out 5-6 year loans, 7, God forbid longer than 6. You're not paying them off. You're replacing the cars before the loans are paid. And this is continuing to keep you in a cycle of burying yourself in negative equity when you could be paying hundreds of dollars less, leasing cars, getting the mileage you need because you pick the mileage on a lease, driving new cars, always under warranty, and paying a whole lot less hassle-free if you just understand leasing. So feel free to ask questions about leases, and we'll go into detail about that. But that's the answer to your question. Everything we're teaching is in my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can Google it. You want to jump off and go Google that book. It's 5-star rated. Thank you to everybody who's reviewed it, rated it on Goodreads. Part of our welcome offer, you get your copy for 75% off. You won't pay the normal $97 price. It'll be in your inbox in 5 minutes. You'll have everything I teach for below market deals on leases, purchases, new cars, used car, high mileage drivers, understanding leasing, everything in minutes. In my TikTok bio for 30 minutes, Instagram bio, the YouTube comment section, or the Facebook comment section. Get there before 30 minutes is up, because after that, the price goes back up to $97. That's our welcome offer. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Shout out to the sharers and shout out to the people running the likes up on TikTok. Y'all know it's a couple people on here that know. I can see the likes just going up. Y'all keep tapping the screen and y'all see those likes run up. We appreciate you. I can't share this. We can't get this message out without you. The people who take the time to share. I see you. Hello from Jennifer. She said just shared the live. Everyone who shares these broadcasts, who tags their friends, we appreciate you. Y'all are the real ones. All right, let's go. Steve Chase. The 5.3, 6.0, 6.2 GM motors with variable valve timing are throwing lifters like crazy. Beware. Okay, well, listen, that's what we would check in our reliability and our longevity checks. See, so he's talking about the engines on these vehicles and the variable valve timing engines. Listen, there are cars that are new cars that have serious problems, especially when you consider what happened in 2020 to 2023, when we had a limited inventory supply, but we had people trying to build cars to get them out to satisfy demand. So you had a lot of cars being built on the fly. But here's the thing. Step 4 of my process, which is shopping, not buying, we're doing a longevity check, a reliability check, and an initial quality check. Any vehicle you're doing, if you're leasing or buying a new car, you need to understand these 3 terms. Initial quality is, what is the data saying about the car the first 3 months? What are the owners saying? Is the technology clunky? Is it hard to use? That's initial quality. First 90 days that the vehicle has been in existence, what is the data saying? Reliability is the first 3 months. What are owners saying the first 3 months about this vehicle? What is the data showing? Not your neighbor. Your neighbor is not the data. Hey, I love this car, Steve. Okay, there's 10,000, 50,000 other people that have this car, and maybe 10% of them don't love this car because there's an issue going. You might have got a good one, they didn't. We need to know what the data says. So reliability is the first 3 years. Longevity is the long term. What are the reports saying about the engines, the transmissions? So how do we check this? It takes us 5 to 8 minutes. You type in the year, the specific year, make, and model of the vehicle you're looking at. You do not type in Kia Sorento reliability. No. 2019 might have been trash, but they saw the data and they fixed it in 2020 is great. You must type in the specific year. So you're going to type in 2020 Kia Sorento initial quality, and you're going to just skim the first articles on Google and see what is it saying. Okay, this initial quality, owners report these issues, electric issues. Just skim the first page, look at the major third-party websites. Do not look at any websites that were made by a dealership or the brand that makes the car. Don't look at KiaNews.com. No, you want to look at the third-party sites to see what they're saying about this vehicle. Now, you move to, once it passes that check, You move to the reliability. 2020 Kia Sorento, reliability. Skim the articles. What is it saying? See any red? This vehicle, owners report less than average reliability on this vehicle. That's a problem. So once it passes that check, we move to the last one. And you don't have to do this if you're leasing. You're only doing this last one if you're buying. 2020 Kia Sorento, longevity. That's going to tell you right at the top. Owners report these engines last 80, 90,000, transmission issues, 80, 90,000 miles. Or sometimes you'll see right at the top, these vehicles last 200 to 300,000 miles when taken care of, well maintained. That's a great sign. Now, how do we make sure that the vehicle's been well maintained? That's a different issue. We talked about that a little earlier. This is how we do it with service records and all of that. But you must check what Steve is talking about is the DNA of the vehicle. That's what I call the DNA of the vehicle. An engine that they made, a transmission that they made, a steering system that they made. It's either good, great, or bad. If you got problems, you can't change the steering. You can't find one that was well maintained and taken care of and say, all right, great. Now I don't have to worry about those issues. Yes, you do, because they made the car like that. They made it with a bad steering system. They made it with a bad transmission. So when you do that, this is step 4 in my book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealership. Step 7 is delivery. But step 1, most important question, leasing versus buying. We go into that. Step 2 is the equity assessment to make sure we get more for our vehicle, for our old replacement car. And that includes leases. Some of you didn't know you could sell leases. We've been doing it for 3-4 years, teaching people how to do it. That's in the equity assessment step. Step 3, we structure our deal. Step 4 is called shopping, not buying. Step 5 is multiple offers and multiple options. We're in the market. Step 6 is paperwork and protection. Step 7 is delivery. So step 4 is where we make sure we're not getting bad cars with bad engines, Steve. So the warnings is not there. If people are going to do what I just said, they're not going to be a victim of what you just said. If they're not, yeah, they'll end up with a car that's in the shop every 6 months. And that was an easily avoidable problem. So you can get your copy of my digital book in my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, Facebook comments, or the YouTube comments for 30 minutes only. You get 75% off as part of our welcome offer. Go download your book. It'll be in your inbox. Make sure as soon as you get your book, you screenshot the thank you page. Right on the thank you page, it says click below to open your book. And I'm sending you another copy by email. But every now and then you type your email in wrong. You don't, and we can't send an email to a wrong email. So make sure you screenshot, get my support team's email. Just in case you type your email wrong, we can make sure you get your book. All right. Great concern, Steve. That's how we address it. Yeah, Dolan, pull the next question in. All right, great questions today. I'm loving these questions. What's going on, Duchess of Kings? I probably butchered that. Forgive me. Should I sell Hyundai Sonata that is highly stolen vehicle? I'm not understanding that question. Should you sell the Hyundai Sonata, which is a highly stolen vehicle? You're gonna have to, try to clarify that question. Now, Dolan, there was a question on TikTok I mentioned earlier about somebody who said they bought a car during the pandemic, a $10,000 upsell. It's from Hey, it's Elmo. Okay, perfect. Hey, it's Elmo says, I bought a car during the pandemic, $10,000 upsell. This is the sad part about what happened during the pandemic. They made you think that everyone was selling cars at those prices. And that's where I birthed the system that I teach about making dealers bid so that you can see that 80% of the dealers, even back then, were overpriced. I had friends in the car business, still do that, with managers that I was calling during those times. And we were talking about what dealers were doing. And it was like, some of them were disgusted with it. Very, very few of them were moving like that. They were selling at list price. Very few were giving discounts, but no one was charging $5,000, $10,000 over sticker. So I knew that. And my mission was to teach people back then that you have to get bids from multiple dealers, because the 80% who you guys know are the overpriced dealers. If you've been on this stream, 80% of dealers are overpriced, 8 out of 10. If there's 8 Kia dealerships on the road, 8 of them, no matter how much you negotiate, are never going to be as low as the other 2. The other 2 are the competitor. They want to beat their competition. They don't care if they make $1,000 profit on a deal. As long as they're beating their competitors, they want to do it. These other dealers will be like, hey, I need to make at least $4,000 on this car. I'm not selling it. That's what you're dealing with. And they're not giving you the rebate. So all of this stuff happened during the pandemic because people didn't know how to shop. So one of the most popular vehicles during the pandemic was this vehicle I'm showing on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. It's the Kia Telluride. And Benita, you can look at the year. This was 2022. We were still seeing people pay $5,000 and $10,000 over sticker for these Kia Tellurides. Benita comes in, she gets bids, and she ends up with a lease at $600 a month, $600 down. She gave them $600. She drove off. There were people, and if anybody is willing to say me and tell your story about the Kia Telluride, there are people that were paying $800, $900 a month for this exact same vehicle. They were leasing them and buying them for $5,000 and $10,000 over sticker. She ends up, I don't know if she got a discount, but she probably did because you couldn't get to a $600 payment on a Kia Telluride back then without a discount. So what does that tell you? It's always going to be deals. It depends on how you shop. Somebody came to me in the gym. First thing he said to me was, man, when is the car market going to get better? We have been getting deals since 2019. There's never been a point in time in my life where I couldn't get a below market deal. So what you got to understand about the car market is it's three prices, always three prices for every car. Every time you buy a car, you need to lock in. There's three prices that could be paid. Market value, that's what most people are paying. Above market value, that's what some people are paying because they have no idea how to shop. They're easily manipulated. Dealers know how to make them pay more and have them think they won. Happens all the time. And then below market value. Below market value is reserved for the savvy people with strategies. You don't get a below market price by accident. You don't get a below market price by negotiating. Because if you're negotiating with an 80% dealer and you think, oh man, I talked him down to the bottom, he wouldn't even do no less than what he was going to let me walk out. That does not mean that was the lowest price in the market. The way you get the lowest price in the market is through bidding. It's through getting 5 offers from 5 separate dealers to get your prices. Look at somebody like Teddy. Teddy gets a BMW because people say, well, does this work for exotic cars or luxury cars? This works for every car because the bidding system works for everything. Amazon, that's how we buy everything in life. If you really think about it, bidding is how we buy everything in life except cars. Think about that. Everything in life we do, when we're buying cars, when we're buying TVs, when we're buying, just anything. Most of the websites we're on, it's teaching us a bidding system. We're looking at so many options, so many offers, and then we choose the best one. When it comes to this, Teddy's highest offer on his $73,000 BMW, you can see the price here. His highest offer was $1,123 a month. He ends up getting it for $856 a month. $856 to $1,123. 80% of dealers, look, his local dealer, read the comment in the middle. My local dealer, the one that's closest, the one he's probably been, every time he wanted to see the car, he walked in, see them. Oh, hey, Teddy, when you're ready, man, we're going to take care of you. His local dealer comes back at $937. So he's sitting at home. And look, he said, thank you, Deshone, for the wisdom and advice. This program works. I even got them they covered his last 2 lease payments. He had to drive an hour and a half to pick it up. That's when you know you did it right. When you got to drive an hour and a half to save $5,000, that's when you know you did it right. Because a lot of times those dealers who are far from you, when they see a zip code come in on their website, man, this person is nowhere near us. They look at it as an opportunity to take a deal from their competition. And they love doing that. They love being able to say, all right, I would rather have our license plate frame in their city so that they know we got that deal. But the ones closest to you, sometimes they feel like they own you. Come on, Mo, you know, how many cars have I sold you? Remember, your father used to buy cars from me. They don't want you to shop. So when you understand that you are going to overpay by not shopping, it's a guarantee because that is how the car business makes their billions. I always say that's how the banks make their billion. We didn't get into the banks yet. We didn't get into making banks bid. The banks make their billions the same way. They don't want you shopping other banks. They want you locked in. Here, get a pre-approval. Lock you in. You got 30 days to find a car. Then you got to come back and get another pre-approval. Everyone wants to lock you in. They don't want you using the internet to get better deals, sitting at home, making all these banks bid, all these companies bid. And that's the reason why you can pay $10,000 upsell and think that was the best deal you could have gotten. I remember when the Bronco came out, the new Bronco came out right about that time, and everyone wanted the Bronco. There was $10,000 over sticker and more. G-Wagon, same thing, $25,000, $50,000 over sticker. If you knew how to shop, you could find a dealer that wasn't paying, that wasn't charging that. Which means if you found a dealer, if you were about to sign a deal for $15,000 over sticker, $15,000, because you're thinking, oh, they're telling me this is it. It's no cars out here. And then you find a way through strategy, through shopping, and you find a deal at sticker, you just saved you just avoided a $15,000 mistake. Because if it was the only way, then it's not a mistake. If everyone paid those prices, it wasn't a mistake. This was just what everyone was paying. I needed a car, I had to pay it. But when you find a car that didn't have the markup and you get it, you understand. So let this be a lesson. I'm the bad news first person. I can't change that. Some of you, you know that. You've been on with me long enough, you've been following me, or you've been on the stream. I always admit that. I'm the bad news first person. Most times you come into my stream, it's not going to be good news. You're going to hear about mistakes you make. I used to do a class where I just broke down 23 mistakes I see most people making that's costing them thousands. But I don't leave you there. I give you the new way. If I left you there, then it would be like, dang, this is terrible. No, I gotta tell you the mistakes and how much it's cost you not knowing how to shop, how much dealers have made on you to get you to say, oh, let me do something different so that they don't keep making this money on me that I didn't have to give them. So all of this, the bidding strategies, everything I teach is in my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's 5-star rated. You can Google it. You'll never have to worry about upsell. I don't have one person that I know that have reported a deal to me. And, I can share these people all day long. You guys know all I do is share people. Eddie, Kimberly, Charles, Sean, huge discount, $20,000 discount. Kimberly, $20,000 discount on her Maserati. Charles, ridiculous deal on her Palisade. Pierre, on his pre-owned Mazda, he gets 20% off the original MSRP on his pre-owned. It was only 1 year old at the time. Zafrina gets a 0.88% lease, $579, $66,000 vehicle. Tiffany, use my book, $44,000 Mazda, ends up getting $6,500 discount from home. All of these people are making these deals from home. Teddy, we already talked about. Look, Jared, use the scripts. Lowest offer $565 a month to $520 a month. 2024 Volkswagen, no money down. No one who has learned from me has ever paid over sticker. We don't really even accept sticker price. We find the dealers who want to beat their competition, and in most cases, dealers are going to, let me show you the biggest discount I've ever seen. I've never even gotten, and now this is a specific car. Every car is different. The bottom market value of every car is different. But Milligan, she got the biggest discount I've ever seen on any car. Hold on. Milligan, a couple days ago, she got a Mercedes. She got a 2024 Mercedes EQE. It was a $79,000 vehicle. You can see it if you zoom in. Her adjusted price was $51,300. From $79,000 to $51,000. Some of you know someone who has this vehicle. If you didn't get, this is how feeling for the bottom is a losing strategy. You might have thought you did good. Deshone, I got that same vehicle. I got the EQE. I got $10,000 off. I thought I won. Milligan got $27,000 off. Let that sink in. You can't feel for the bottom. You can only have dealers bid to find the bottom. You don't know what the bottom is. They want you to think you won. Hey, you got 10,000. Ain't that good enough? Yeah, I guess. I never got 10,000 off a car before. If this particular case, you would have lost $17,000 overpayment. So this is what bidding gets you. You want to learn to make people bid and stop negotiating with one dealer or two dealers. It's a losing strategy. All right, go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Great questions today. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Dang, y'all running the likes up on TikTok. Thank you so much. We on 2 TikTok channels right now, if y'all didn't know. Every time y'all hear something y'all like, y'all keep running those likes up, man. I appreciate it. That really matters. And shout out to the people who shared, who tagged somebody. If you haven't tagged your best friend into the broadcast, I got to question what type of friend you are. Your best friend out here right now, car shop, and you don't even know it. And you getting all this gold and you haven't tagged them in. What's up, Tracy on TikTok? Lease is up in 2 months. Use the private broker. How do I know if he gives a good deal? Great question. Most brokers are ripping you off. And here's the thing, they're controlling your deal. They're not bad people. They're just about the profit. So as a broker, we work on trust. When I was a broker, it was a trust system. So I care about you more than the dealer. Let me represent your interests. Here's the problem. If you don't have a broker who's sincerely shopping the market for you, then you're losing. We always separate our transactions. I call them the 3 pillars of great car deals. Who you buy your car from, that's one pillar. You need to get a great deal there. You need to get the best deal, who you buy your car from, 80% to 20%. Who I sell my car to, that's another transaction. And that includes an old lease. We haven't talked about selling leases yet. No one's asked. But we sell leases. If there's equity, we sell them. So if you give that broker your old lease and you didn't do an equity assessment, now they have control of that. And then lastly, if you're not leasing, you're getting a loan, who you get your loan from. That's the 3rd transaction. So there's money in each of these transactions. There might be $7,000 with rebates and discounts in the car you're buying. Could be more. You saw Milligan's deal. She got $27,000 off. It was huge rebates that no one knew about. Then you have money in your old car. You might have a couple thousand equity in your lease or equity in your old car. Now you're giving them control of that. And now the car that you're, if you're getting a loan, the interest rate, you're giving them control of that. If you could have got 5.9, but they're giving you 7.9, then there's markups in your interest rate. There could be $2,000, $3,000 in markups there. So you're giving them control of all of this money. So how do we sincerely know if a broker has gotten us a great deal or not? They're giving us a market report. See, in Cars from Home, in my book, you're going to learn to do a market report. Very simple. 25 dealers in my book, step 5, we reach out to 25 dealers online. Takes us 20 minutes for a new car or a lease. I call it the 25 to 5 because we're connecting with 25 dealers online using my email script, and we're going to get 5 offers minimum. 25 to 5. So at the end of making our deal, everyone who I just showed you has a market report. They know what this dealer said, what this dealer said, what this dealer said, what this dealer said. This dealer didn't have a car. This dealer didn't have a car. This dealer had a car, it was the wrong color. This dealer, then they have these offers so that they know they didn't leave any money on the table. And they do this in 90 minutes. So literally connecting with 20 dealers takes 20 minutes. Using my scripts and all my copy and paste stuff takes 90 minutes to make these deals online. And we know that we didn't overpay. If you're buying your new car, you're looking at all these offers, you guarantee I didn't overpay. If you're getting your selling your old car, what are the numbers from CarMax, Kelly's Blue Book, Instant Cash Offer, Carvana, Driveway, AutoNation, and Car Gurus? What are those 6 offers? If the broker didn't tell you this is what the 6 offers are, this is what your offers are for your old car, they usually have a wholesaler that buys the cars from them. Hey, this person wants to sell a car. Hey, what could you pay me? And then this wholesaler cuts them a check for $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, and then they take the car. They're using their network. They're not taking you to the market. That's the problem with brokers. When I was brokering, I had a network, but it was always trying to expand. But here's the thing, every dealer doesn't work with brokers. Every dealer won't pay a broker. So you might think, well, I paid them $500 or $1,000. They want to also get paid from the dealer. The dealer cuts it. That's why most brokers make deals with the same dealers, because those are the dealers who do business with brokers. They'll cut them $1,000 check, $2,000 check. If you bring them a heavy customer who gets a G-Wagon, they'll cut them a $4,000 check. If that's not in their network, they're not going to shop you to those people. So you're giving control of people, you're giving control of thousands of dollars of your money to someone who's going to control it on a process that you could do in 90 minutes once you learn my strategies. It's no point in you could be a broker. Anybody who uses my strategies could literally go to people in their town and say, hey, man, I'm a master at this. Pay me $500, I'll shop for you. This is how I would broker. I would be getting reports. If I was shopping for a used car, using my strategies in my book, the multiple marketplace strategy, you're able to see the low side of the market. I teach you how to assess what are the low side, what's the high side. I teach you how to narrow it down to your top 3 to 5 choices. I teach you how to get the new car price so you know what the real discount is and what the real equipment is. You could give that to a customer. They'll be like, no one's ever done this for me. That was worth every bit of the $500 I paid you, $700 I paid you. But if a broker is not doing that and giving you a transparent spreadsheet of offers, then they just controlled your deal, sold it to their network, and collected the biggest check for you, for themselves. That's how it works. So get your copy of Cars from Home, my new digital book, 7 steps to saving time, money, and avoiding dealerships. Part of our welcome offer. You get it for 75% off. It'll be in your inbox in literally minutes. You can go to my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, click the website, or my Facebook comments, or my YouTube comments. Click the website to activate your 75% off. Get your book. You'll have all my strategies for below market leases, paying less than everyone for new cars, used cars, how to get quality cars, high mileage drivers. We got a lot of questions that haven't been asked today. High mileage, selling leases, all of this stuff we haven't talked about. That's all in there step by step to make sure you pay less than everyone else and you do it from home without having to negotiate or beg or have down payments or any of the stuff that they want you to think you need. But after you get your book, make sure you screenshot the thank you page because it has my support email on there as my team. In case you type your email wrong, we'll make sure you get your book. We can't send the book to a wrong email. Also, as soon as you get your book, you'll see a link below. It says click below to open your book because you might want to just open it and save it right there to your computer and then come back to the stream. But go get your book. It's part of our welcome offer, but it's only for 30 minutes. Once the 30-minute timer is up, price of the book goes back up to $97. And some of you knowing what you know, knowing what we've covered in this stream so far, you understand the book is worth every bit of $97. It's worth more than that. That's a book that I could actually sell for $297. And the people who get it would be like, this book was worth every bit of the $297. So even if you miss the 30-minute timer and it's $97, it's worth every penny. But you need to get your book if you don't want to bother remembering this or whatever. It's my whole blueprint. And Google it. Google it if you want to hear from your peers about how great the book is. Thank you to everyone who's reviewed it, everyone who rated it. It really matters. All right. Goody from TikTok. Does your book explain how to find out if dealership has rebates? So a dealership doesn't have rebates. The manufacturer has rebates. See, they make you think we have a military deal. We have rebates. No, it goes to the region because the manufacturer has to keep the dealerships competitive. So he can't give one Jeep dealer $2,000 rebate without giving it to the other Jeep dealers. It doesn't come from the dealership. It comes from the manufacturer. This is a clue for you to understand that one dealer can't do something another dealer can't do. If one dealer who earned your business, when you use this bidding system and you start getting at least 5 offers for cars, beats everyone else, you'll see, wow, they're taking off $10,000. These other dealers wouldn't take off no more than $5,000. What, did they have better programs? No, they didn't. They just were comfortable selling and competing against their competitors to beat them, and they gave you all the rebates and everything they had to make a deal with you. These other dealers wanted to make $5,000 on you, $7,000 on you. They weren't going to go below that. So when they said, hey, Goody, that's our best offer, they weren't lying. That's their best offer, but it wasn't their competitor's best offer. So the only way you are going to get the rebates is for you to understand you cannot ask for them and get the truth and know the truth. You have to get bids to reveal the truth. You could have a $5,000 rebate on a vehicle. Dealer might come to you as you walk in because you're negotiating and that's what they like. And then you say, hey, give me your best price. And they say, okay, well, I'll give you this. And by the way, we got a $2,000 rebate I threw in there for you. Oh, that's great. Now you think you're doing good. They just told me about a $2,000 rebate I didn't even know they had. You go to another dealer, they tell you it's a $3,000 rebate. But once you get bids and you're looking at 5 to 7 offers, you see, wow, it's actually a $5,000 rebate. You have to reveal that. We had a woman in California, Shonda, she was buying a Volvo XC60 or XC90 at the time. She's using our strategies. She's in Northern California. She got a Costco program rebate on our scripts in my book. I teach you how to put any affiliations you have. There's certain things you must have when you contact a dealer for a new car quote or a lease quote. They need to know your zip code, what you do for a living, what vehicles in your household. Many of you can't get quotes because you're just not giving the dealer what they need to actually give you a quote. So that's why I have the templates in there that you just fill in, send it to them. So on her deals, she sees that there's a rebate for Costco members. There's also some other rebates, but she found out that the best price she was getting was in Southern California. It was 3,000 or 4,000 less than all the dealers in Northern California. So I said, well, what are you going to do? She said, I just booked a plane ticket. It was $79. I said, that's exactly what I would have did. I'm flying to Southern California to save almost $4,000. Cost me $100 for a plane ticket, and I'll drive back up to Northern California in my new vehicle. See, you must reveal the rebates. Dealers will tell you there's 5,000, there's 8,000, but if you're dealing with an 80% dealer, and all of you who've been on the stream, you know the 80% of dealers are overpriced. We've already talked about the 80 and 20. Out of 10 Volvo dealerships, 8 of them are going to be overpriced. No matter how much you negotiate, you can't win. You're never going to get a below market price from the 80%. But the 20% are going to reveal what the true rebates are. They're going to reveal what they have to work with. They're going to, if they have $5,000 of negotiating room and they're trying to beat their competition, they're going to give you like $4,000 of that plus the rebates. They don't care if they're only making $1,000 on the deal because they want to sell the car and beat their competition. The other dealers, the 80%, they're not there. We're not making less than $5,000. We're not doing the deal. And that's it. We'll sell it to somebody else. We'll sell it to somebody else who doesn't know how to shop. We'll sell it to someone else who walks in and tries to negotiate with us. We'll sell it to somebody else who doesn't make us compete against competitors. We're not going that low to earn your business, Mr. Goody. So that's okay. That's why we sit at home. We talk, we communicate with not just them, but with all of their competitors. That's why the strategy in step 5 is called the 25 to 5. You're going to be connecting with 25 dealers in 20 minutes using my email scripts to get 5 to 7 offers. And next thing you know, you found the highest offer, the best offer, and it might be an hour and a half away. Look at Sean's deal where he saved $20,000 on his F-150 Lightning. Some of you may know someone who has this vehicle. Didn't save 20 grand off of it. Look, he said $73,000 F-150 Lightning. He ends up getting $49.90 discount plus $15,500 in rebates. Now, I go to him and I said, look, because some of you would have been like, wow, that sounds like a good deal. We need to go and take that deal. But here's what I had to ask him. I had to ask him, if you don't know, if you haven't seen the other offers, we don't know for sure this is the best deal. We don't know for sure this is the best deal because what if you could have been Milligan and you could have got $27,000 off? Type dollar signs if you want all the money off. Type all the money if you want all the money. If you would be mad saving 20,000 because you could have saved 27, if that extra 7,000 would make you mad, would bother you, you didn't get that, type all the money. Type dollar signs if you like Deshone. Yeah, I don't care if I'm getting 20. If I could have got 27, I want the 27. So this is how we prevent that. You must get offers to find out. So the $15,500 discount from Sean is we don't know it's the best offer until we look at the other offers. Now let me find the clip where he explained how he had to go outside his state. Hold on, I got a lot of pictures here. He had to go outside his state to actually get the best offer. Hold on. Here we go, right here. He says, I guess I could have put a little more info on here. Yes, he said, I got about 15 quotes. I couldn't find anything under MSRP. I ended up expanding my search to 150 miles outside my area to find this deal. I'm going to another state to pick this up, which is something I never would have thought before. And I can't see the rest because the comment's blocking it. So he was local minded like you. I'm just going to find the best deal locally. Once he starts using my systems and finding out, wait, I could talk to a dealer that's 200 miles away from me the same way I'm talking to a dealer that's 20 minutes away from me. He expands his search. The dealer who's in the next state over saves him 20 grand total, gives him all the rebates. He drives to the next state to pick it up. That is how you win. What's up, Aways? Good to see you. That is how you win. Local business is dead. That doesn't mean the local dealer won't win the bid, but they must win the bid. Car dealers are not your friends. Hey, you might have been, it's going to be hard for you if you've been inviting your car salesman to the barbecues and they know all your kids and all of that. The whole thing is trust. That's what they're basing it off of. And watch this. If they don't mind competing, you can still come to the barbecues. But I need to make you compete with your competitors, because I need to know if the price you're giving me is truly the best price. And if I've been your customer for 10, 15 years and you sold cars to my family, then every time you see we need a car and you see I'm putting you up against your competitors, you should be like, well, that's Mr. Goody right there. You go out, talk to your general manager, go to him and say, hey, look, I know we don't normally sell a car below this, but this guy, he's shopping different now. He used to just walk in and let us negotiate with him, and we make five grand on him, 4 grand, 3 grand, 8 grand. And now he's making us shop. I don't really want to lose this guy's business because they buy a lot of cars. Can we do something to beat all our competitors? Talk to your general manager and get it done. I go to his barbecues, he's invited me over. I know his kids. But if they get mad at you because they're like, wait, come on, what do you mean you put me through all of this now? Then you understand. You've been making money on me for years, and now you're pissed off because I'm making you compete. That's good. We needed to know that. Thanks a lot, Charlie. Hey, hope you enjoyed the barbecues. You won't be back. All of this is in my digital book, my new book called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can get it for 75% off as part of our welcome offer. In my TikTok bio, click the picture of me. My Instagram bio, click the picture of me. You'll see a website there, and then click the button that says 75% off my new book as part of our welcome offer. I have one in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, no matter where you're at. Get your book, but it's only for 30 minutes. After that, price goes back up to $97. So $97 is worth it. $24 is even better, and it'll be in your inbox in 5 minutes. You'll have all my strategies for below market leases, below market purchases, below market used cars, leasing versus buying, bank bidding war, making banks and credit unions bid without hurting your credit. Everything will be there for you for $24 if you get there before the 30 minutes is up. Go ahead, Dolan. Great show. I'm loving the questions today. If you're getting value out of what we're doing so far, I want you to type value in the comment section. If you are getting value out of what we're doing, shout out to the people that's locked in. Shout out to the people that are locked in. I want you to type value, 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 value. I see. This is all we do. I told you from the moment we started the stream, we don't play around here. We don't hold back. All we do is, all I want you doing is emailing me and writing me with your car deals. I want to be pulling your deals into the stream, just like I'm showing Rosalie, just like I'm showing Jen, just like I'm showing Ansley, just like I'm showing Vincent, just like I'm showing, look, Tasha. I want to be pulling your deals into the stream. And that's all I care about. Everyone knows I can get below market deals. There's nobody on this stream that would be like, hey, Deshone, man, you've been in the car business since 2006. Absolutely. But your deals is what proved the system worked. Once I saw people doing this in 2021, it proved to me that the system works. Now let's just have more people use the system. All right, let's go. We don't talk, T. I don't talk. There's no way. In fact, you said, how can we talk? Hit the Shop with Deshone button. In my bio is a button that says Shop with Deshone. If you qualify for us to do this together, then we can talk. But unfortunately, we got blessed, thank God. We got 2.3 million followers. Everyone wants to buy a car. If I was talking to people, I'd be talking to people all day and we'd be getting things done slow. Like we're about hundreds of people working together. Like I'm not about 20 people. Like it's 60 million people that buy cars. So what we hold ourselves accountable is, are we helping hundreds of people every month get below market car deals? Are we getting information out there that's going to help hundreds of people do it? So if you want to know about us working together and joining my group and working with me personally, hit the Shop with Deshone button and see if you qualify. All right, that's in my bio. That's in the comment section. You can go to shopwithdeshone.com. See if we qualify to work together, but that's the only people that I talk to. All right. Returning my lease and financing a 2025 RAV4. Will I get some money for the return of my vehicle? You need to do an equity assessment. So if you first thing you do is you're going to go to Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer. You're going to go to Auto Nation. You're going to go to Driveway. You're going to go to Car Guru, Sell My Car. You're going to go to CarMax. You're going to go to Carvana, and you're going to put all the information about your vehicle into those websites. And when they get to the part where they say is the vehicle owned, leased, or financed, you want to type owned. You just want to know what the raw value is without them knowing it's a lease or purchase. None of that. Just want to know what the value is. You're going to call your bank. You're not going to do this process takes 20 minutes, and we've had people make $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 doing the equity assessment. Don't be lazy with this. Call your bank, ask what your payoff is, and when you find out what your payoff is, compare it to the offers. And then you're going to ask, do I have a third-party restriction? The third-party restriction doesn't limit who you can. It doesn't limit your ability to sell. It limits who you can sell to. So if you are selling to a third party, that means you can sell to Carvana. You sell to CarMax. You don't want to buy your car and then resell it. We had a lot of people doing that during the pandemic. They were paying taxes and fees to buy, and they end up making little to no money. They literally were buying the car saying, oh, well, I could buy it for 20 and resell it to Carvana for 25. But when they bought it for 20, they had taxes, fees, and by the time they went to sell it, they only made $1,000. When we could have just bid that out to a used car manager, because again, the third party restriction doesn't limit your ability to sell. It limits who you can sell to. So in my book, in step 2, which is the equity assessment, I teach you how to do 3 different equity assessments depending on your situation. You're only going to do one, but there's 3 different types depending on your situation. One is a standard equity assessment. That means I own my vehicle or I finance it. So who didn't know that you can sell a car that you actually have a loan on? Type me. Some people thought, oh, I thought I had to wait for the title. You don't. You can sell a car you have a loan on. So that's the first equity assessment, own vehicles and finance vehicles. Second equity assessment is lease vehicles. Third equity assessment is leases with a third party restriction, and we bid it out to a used car manager. So these are the 3 ways we do an equity assessment to make sure we're not leaving any money on the table. And that's it. We've had people make thousands and thousands of dollars. And during the pandemic, it was even more because cars were worth $7,000 to $10,000 more than they were. So we had people making, I sold my Jeep Grand Cherokee lease. I made $9,000. I sold my mother's Mazda CX-5 lease back then, and she made $10,200. So that's all throughout my pages. I've helped people. People be like, yo, I made $7,000 using your strategies to sell leases. Yo, so we had plenty of people then. Now, values are normal again, but you do still have people that are making $2,000 and $4,000 depending on the resale value of your cars. This happens, and some of you low mileage people, you're like, Deshone, I signed up for 45,000 miles, but I only put 20,000 miles on it. Oh, you're going to sell the car, you're going to make money. So we're going to do that's the equity assessment. But here's what I'm also concerned about: you're going from a lease to a finance. You're not keeping your car 8 years. You should not be financing. You're going to pay a lot more. To lease a RAV4 might be $400, $500. To buy that same RAV4 with no money down is going to be probably $800. So you're going to put a whole bunch of money into this transaction to go into a purchase coming from a lease. Very rarely does that make financial sense because you have to have changed your lifestyle altogether. You have to go from, all right, instead of leasing and driving new cars for cents on the dollar, I'm going to go to a purchase. So here's what normally happens. You overpaid for your first lease. They charge you a ton of money on your first lease. You didn't realize that they were charging you a lot of money, and you think that's normal. You think, well, that's just what leases are. You're not doing these deals like Danielle, where you're driving $45,000 vehicle. She got a $44,000 Audi, and she's paying $550 a month. Or Greg, $56,000 Kia EV6. $527 a month, no money down. All of these are no money down deals. You can read the comments if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, screenshot the comments. Look, Maserati, Kimberly's Maserati, $91,000 vehicle, first month's payment. Look, down payment, first month's payment only, $944 a month. That's a 1% lease. Look, Charles, Palisade lease, $48,000 vehicle, $597 a month, no money down. Look, Zafrina, $66,000 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $579 a month. You're not doing leases like this. They overcharged you for your lease. You overpaid for it. And now you're like, well, I might as well buy the car. I've had people say that on comments. Well, leasing, it costs the same amount to buy. Well, you just overpaid for your leases and you think that that's normal. So now you're comparing overpaying for leases to buying. And yeah, it might be a similar price. But you compare these deals, look, Zafrina's 0.88% lease, $65,000 vehicle, that would normally be $1,300 a month to finance, $1,200 a month if she went in there with no money down to finance that. So I'm big, besides the actual returning of the lease and that equity assessment, I'm more concerned about why you're switching from a lease to a finance. And it's usually because you overpaid for your lease and now they talked you into just buying a car because you didn't see any value in overpaying, because there's something I call the 1.5% rule that I created, which shows you when you've overpaid for a lease. You take the MSRP of the car and you just multiply it by 0.015. Your payment cannot be any more than that with no money down at 12,000 miles per year. So if I took my car, if I'm looking at a $50,000 car, the max I do multiply by 0.015. The highest my payment should be with no money down is $750. With no money, and that's the highest. That doesn't mean that's a great deal. I just showed you 1% leases, 1.2% leases, 0.88% leases, but this is where it caps out at. This is where it doesn't make sense to lease the vehicle anymore. You're paying too much money for a vehicle you're giving back. If I multiplied that by 36, I'm paying $27,000 over 3 years for a $50,000 vehicle. There's no value in leasing that vehicle more than that. There's no value. I'd be better off buying it, but we don't do that. We just go pick another vehicle because that vehicle usually has a bad lease program. If you're shopping, if you just went into one dealer and you're dealing with an 80% dealer, then no, you probably just dealt with an 80% dealer. They overcharged you, made $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on you, and left you out. And you were just like, well, I guess this is it. No, they made a ton of money on you, but that's why you need to learn how to get below market leases. You'll never hear me say you should be leasing cars if you're not keeping your cars 8 years. You'll hear me say, if you're not keeping your cars 8 years, you should be shopping for a below market lease. A below market lease. 1%, 1.2%, no more than 1.5%, getting bids so that you can get all the discounts and all the rebates, and so that you don't end up in an overpriced lease. Below market is all that matters. All of these deals I just showed y'all, if you type them into Google and you saw what the advertisement is for those same cars that we just went over in the last 3 minutes, you would be like, those deals, none of those deals, Danielle, Kimberly, or Maserati, none of them are even nowhere close to what they're advertising those cars for. That's how you know they're below market leases. All right. All of this is in my new digital book, Cars from Home. You get your copy for 75% off. That means you'll get it for $24 if you get there before the 30-minute timer is up. It's part of our welcome offer. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's a digital book. It'll be in your inbox in 3 minutes. You can get it in my TikTok bio, in my Instagram bio, in the Facebook comments, or in the YouTube comments for the next 30 minutes. Make sure as soon as you get your book, you screenshot the thank you page. And on that thank you page is the link to open the book. So you can literally open it, start using all of these strategies for the rest of your life. And every time something changes in the market, I update the book. Vroom used to be in the book. Some of you know Vroom went out of business. I went right into the master file, took Vroom out, updated it. If I update a script, I go right into the scripts, update the master file. You open the book. Every time you open that link, it's a new copy of the book. So that's the things I couldn't do with a physical book. Things change. We use online systems. New websites come into the business. Websites go out of business. We need to make sure it's flexible. Every time something happens, we update it. Boom, and you got the latest and greatest strategies. Beautiful. Grab your book, 75% off before the 30-minute timer hits 0. All right, y'all. Listen, we did a lot. I have bad credit strategies in there, Lady Forever. Or no, in your case, you have fair credit. So I like to see you get your credit up to like 660, 670. Same thing with a house. If you got 625, you qualify for some programs. But if you get yourself to a 660, 670, you qualify for better programs. So I like to say with cars, get yourself out of that manipulation zone. That manipulation zone is really the mid-6s. Most people could qualify for tier 1 on a lot of vehicles with a 670 score, 660. And it also depends on your profile. In my book, I teach you about profile. It's more important than score. You know, profile is part one. Your score is part of it, but also part of it is your income. Also part of it is comparable credit. Do you have any car loans that you've paid on time? If you've paid your car loan on time for the last 2 years, It's much easier to get approved for the next car, because a lot of banks will look at you and see, all right, I see you had some trouble with the credit card, but you've never missed a car payment. Those people, that weighs, that matters. So I talk about this in my book. But if you can get yourself up to a 660 score, 670, that puts you in a position to really qualify for a lot of major leases and tier one programs. So, all right, y'all, listen, this has been great. This has been great. We had a lot of great questions today. We'll be back for another stream. All of you who have the book, I want you to send me your deals. When you make your deals, email them to me so that I can bring them into the show. I got a lot more people, a lot of emails. I don't always get a chance to go through my emails because I get a lot of them, but I got to go through a lot of my emails because I have people who are sending me their deals and I haven't had a chance to bring them into the show. But yes, good morning. I got the book already. I'm confused about how to calculate a deal on a used car. Just when you narrow it down to your top choices, get the new price, use the true value calculator, put the new car price in with the asking price, and it'll tell you what the true value discount is. We buy based on the true value discount. We didn't get a chance to talk about that in the stream today. Again, there's so much in the book. We could be here for 2.5 hours talking about different things, because me talking to you about leasing is different than what I'm talking to a person who's buying a used car about. That's different than a person who's buying a used car cash or buying a new car cash. That's different than a person who's going to be using the bank bidding war and putting banks against each other. That's different than a person who's going to be coming from a lease, selling their lease. That's different than a person who's going to be selling their lease with a third-party restriction. That's why in my book, you're not reading everyone's strategies. You're only reading what matters to you. I have links where it warps you to the next section that is applicable for you. If you're not leasing, you're not reading anything about leasing. You're on a purchase path and you get to the end of the section and it says, okay, if you're purchasing, then based on this, click this link. If you're doing this, if you have good credit score, click this link, it warps you here. If you have bad credit score, click this, it warps you here. So it's all about making sure you're on a path that is applicable to you, not following a bunch of advice that is for someone else or even a deal you might make later. You'll use the used car strategies, but that's later. Right now, I'm on the lease path. I don't need to read about used cars. This is how you stay focused and get to your goal really quick. But that's how we do. Just follow it again. You got to realize this is a new system for you. You're not used to having a process. So if you need to just go through the steps again, let me make sure. He said, do this first. Let me make sure I did that. Said, go to the websites, open up accounts. Okay. If you didn't go to the marketplaces and open up accounts, you skipped the process. You can't just open the websites and then don't set up your accounts, because now every time you come back to the marketplaces to shop for your used cars, you don't have any alerts. You don't have any new inventory alerts. You're not getting alerts of the new inventory. He says, set up a shopping email so I don't mix it with my personal email. If you go and you're getting offers in your personal email and you're like, Deshone, it's hard for me to get to these offers. Yeah, that's because you got your work email, you got your internet stuff, you got your sites that you've been visiting, you got your newsletters you're a part of, and now you're trying to communicate with 25 dealers in that same email thread. It's never going to work. That's why I set up a shopping email. I say set up a Google Voice. We don't just have dealers calling our phone, so we don't have to talk to dealers. We don't have to, yo, Deshone, how can I stop these dealers from blowing up my phone? You skipped the step. You didn't set up the shopping phone number for free that I told you to set up. Put on do not disturb so no one can even talk to you. These are all steps that you need to review. But here's the beautiful thing. Once you get this, it's the muscle memory. See, I could do this in 90 minutes, 60 minutes sometimes, because I've done this hundreds of times for other people, myself, and I wrote the blueprint. Once you get to the point where you're like, wait, I'm going to trust this process and stop trying to come with my own ideas. If he says do this, I'm doing it. He says go to this website, type this in, I'm typing it in. Then I go to the next step. So typically the people who do the best, the quickest, it's very easy for you to follow directions. But some people, that's not your learning style. It's harder. But you'll eventually trust the process. It's going to take you longer. But it's not the process, it's you. If you came to McDonald's and they told you, hey, all right, flip the burgers. When you hear the buzzer go off, flip the burgers. As soon as you hear it, you sprinkle a little seasoning on them. You do 2 drops of seasoning. Shake. And then you hear the buzzer go off on the fries. That's when you pick it up and then you dump them in. and then you sprinkle five salt. Shit. See, it's a system. They're not giving you an option. My system is the same way. It's very rigid. There is no add your own stuff to it. Deshone, I was on the websites. I was looking at some of the lease offers. Man, they look bad. Where in the book did I tell you to go to websites? Oh, no, you didn't. Why'd you do it then? You're mixing your own stuff. So again, the people who have an easy time following direction, military people usually, a lot of military people come in and they get right to it. They're like, Deshone, like I had one girl tell me, she's like, I'm in the military. So as soon as I saw the directions, I'm just trained to follow. That's how I got to it quick. But some of you, it's going to take you a little while because you're an overthinker. That's okay. You'll realize once you get the deal done, you'll be like, man, I could have did this in 2 hours. It took me 5 hours because I just was overthinking. I'm doing stuff that he ain't say do. And that's the beautiful part. Because next time you get a car, you'll think less. You'll be like, all right, let me trust this system now. Third time you get a car, you're a master. Now it's like, all right, boom, 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 boom. That's the process. So get on the train. Get your copy of Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's a digital book, so it'll be in your inbox in 3 minutes. You can start using these strategies for the rest of your life, sharing them with your families, shopping empowered, making dealers and banks bid. You're no longer begging for deals. You're no longer spending an hour in a dealership. My God, I've gotten so many cars. I've never spent an hour in a dealership. Since 2015, I have not spent 1 hour in a car dealership to get a car, not one. And I show you my car deals, I talk about them, I pay less than everyone. Unless you were using my strategies, then we'll probably pay the same amount. But as far as the cars I get, every lease I've gotten, ridiculous. 1% leases, never had to be in a car dealership. So you could say goodbye to Deshone, I never got to spend more than an hour you never spend more than 30 minutes in a car dealership again. That's just what we do. That's just, the system proves it. So go read the book. Go get your copy, 75% off in my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the Facebook comment, or the YouTube comments. Click the link and then click the button that says 75% off. Welcome offer. Make sure you get there before the 30 minutes is up. All right, we'll be back. We will be back to talk more. But everyone who got the book, I will see you in the book because you'll be linking the videos with me. You'll see I got a bunch of surprises in there. So go get your book, and I'll see you all on the next stream. God bless you. Yeah, this was a good one today. Had fun today. Shout out to everybody who's here. We're about to start our car shopping questions and answers live. We'll be answering as many questions about car shopping, leasing, buying, pre-owned cars as we can in about an hour. So feel free to start typing them, and we'll get the show on the road. If you don't know me, my name is Deshone. I'm known as Deshone, the Auto Advisor. All I do is focus on teaching people online strategies to pay less than everyone else for new cars, used cars, and leases. I spent 14 years in the car business. In the last 3 years, I've been teaching people like you all around the country how to get below market deals. It's only 3 prices you can pay for any car: market value, above market value, or below market value. My mission for those who are locked in and willing to listen and willing to apply these strategies is for you to pay below market prices for any vehicle that you get. Everything we're going to be talking about is out of my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home. It's already 5-star rated. You can Google it. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. And you can get yours for 75% off as part of our welcome offer. You can get it in my TikTok bio, in my Instagram bio, or in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments. If you go into my bio, just click the picture of me. Go grab your book for 75% off. You won't pay the normal price, and you'll have it in your inbox in the next 2-3 minutes. But make sure when you get your book, you screenshot the thank you page so you can have my support team's email as well, just in case you type your email wrong. But that's our welcome offer to you, 75% off Cars from Home, if you want the entire blueprint of everything we're going to be talking about. Okay, so with that said, now the housekeeping is done. You guys know that's only a 30-minute offer. So after 30 minutes, that welcome offer is gone. So if you like what you're hearing, definitely go and grab your copy of Cars from Home for 75% off in my bio or in the comment section. So, all right, let's start here. First question, should husband and wife buy together or separate based on better credit? Okay, so there's no right or wrong here, but if you're saying what gives us the best chance for the best approval, you know, you can say, all right, we can go on, we can try to go on together. Could you get approved by yourself? And so I keep my credit into, with no additional debt. Or if I'm trying to build credit and you're trying to build credit, then all right, we might go on together. But if it's not necessary for us to go on together, then you may want to keep your credit profile separately and just, get the person who can get approved the individual approval. But if you are building and you would like to have that payment history on your credit as well, then you can add it to both people's name. It really depends on your personal goals and where you're at. There's no right or wrong. It just depends on your goals. All right, let's go, everybody. Keep typing your questions. We got our first couple questions. As you type them, we'll add them to the show, and we'll get through as many as we can in the next hour. Go ahead, Dolan, shoot the next question up. Okay, what's up, Reem 99? I have a 2019 Chevy Silverado. I owe about 30,000, 120,000 miles. So the first thing that you should be considering is you're a high mileage driver. So I want you to look at this lesson that you're about to learn on depreciation. All right, here's what everyone buying or leasing or considering acquiring a depreciating asset like a car needs to understand. This is what I call the depreciation curve. This is also what I call the unseen expense. So you'll hear a lot of people who come to our streams refer to the unseen expense, which is depreciation. So if you buy a vehicle today, and stay by your keyboard so you can dialogue as I ask you these questions. That's how you're going to get the most out of this video. As if you buy a car today for 40,000, let's say I left it outside your house. Somebody gave you a $40,000 car. You don't have to pay for it, but you don't need it. And you say, look, I don't need it. I can't drive it. You can leave it there, but it's just going to sit there for a year because I can't use it. If you came back a year later, you never drove that car. Remember, we bought it for 40. If you come back a year later, never drove it 1 mile, is it still worth 40? Yes or no? Let's go. Type into the chat fast so we can get this, so we can keep the show high speed. Everybody who's dialoguing, I appreciate you. You usually get a lot out of these because your dialogue. So thank you. No, Gary. No to pull up. No. Okay. All right. Perfect. So we understand. Now, if you came back to that car a year later, you never drove it, and it's worth, let's say 35, 34, whatever it is, you bought it for 40, it lost value. See, because it doesn't matter whether you bought it and didn't drive it, or you leased it, or you owned it. See, when you start understanding depreciation like we're going over, now you can properly assess whether you should lease or buy a car and how you are going to beat depreciation. Because the entire goal for leasing versus buying is which one of these strategies, if I get a below market deal, allows me to beat depreciation based on my lifestyle. So so a high mileage driver, your depreciation ring looks entirely different from a normal driver. So where one driver might be 40,000, they come back a year later, their car's worth, 36, 34. If they didn't drive it, if they put average miles on it, maybe it's worth 32. They're losing money based on their mileage. You might put 30,000 on that car in 1 year. So your depreciation looks like this now. It doesn't look like this. Your car goes from being worth 40 1 year to literally it could be worth 26 the next year because you put 30,000 miles on it. So you have to take into account depreciation differently than a normal person. Everyone has to take it into account, but you have to, any high mileage drivers on here, if you drive more than 18,000 miles, I want you to type HM into the chat for high mileage. This is specifically how you need to be looking at depreciation so that you don't keep flipping out of cars and then coming back with huge amounts of negative equity because you're structuring your deals like you're not a high mileage driver and you're killing your values. High mileage drivers used to come into the dealership with, cars that were 5 years old, got 180,000 miles on them, and they still have big loans left. They still have loans that show they got a loan like a normal driver, 5-year loan, 6-year loan. This is what normal drivers can get based on their ownership. High mileage drivers, you cannot do that because all you're doing is pushing your losses to the back end. You might have a lower payment of $150 less, but what's going to happen is when you go to replace this car in 5 years, 6 years, if it still has a loan, now you're dealing with huge amounts of negative equity that you have to now roll over to your next vehicle or put 10, 15, 20 grand down so that you don't have that going to your next vehicle. So the smarter thing for you to do, Reem, is to figure out right up front, how many years are you keeping your next car? And if you're keeping your next car, like if you give you an example, let's go deeper. If you had kept this same Chevy Silverado for another 5 years, it wouldn't matter. Instead of it having 120,000 miles on it, you'd have probably 220,000 miles on it. The truck could go that long. If you got a good one, a quality one, then you should be able to put that money. You should be able to get that time out of that truck. But because you're a short-term owner, you're considering a short-term replacement. Now you have to take into account leasing. Does it make more sense for me to get a below market lease on these vehicles, pay less, build in my mileage so that I can avoid depreciation? Because if you're buying these vehicles and then you're destroying the value and you're replacing them in 5 years, you're not getting all of that money that you put in that car back out of it. You could have put much less money into it and still driven the truck. So the whole goal is getting out of this stuck in the middle and thinking 5 years, 6 years is a long time to have a vehicle. It's not. You're still in short term because you're still in the big depreciation phase. See, once you get to about 8 years, that depreciation is going to start looking like this. So your truck this year is going to be worth about the same next year. It's not depreciating like this anymore, losing thousands and thousands every year. That's where you want to get to if you're buying. If you're not keeping the vehicle that long, you should not be buying, because all you're doing is riding the depreciation slide all the way down, and then you go and get another vehicle, ride it down again. Get another vehicle, ride it down again. You're never getting to the point where you could benefit like a long-term owner and stop losing value every single time. And if you're not keeping your vehicles 8 years, my rule is you lease. You shop for a below-market lease. Now, we could go a little deeper on that. If somebody has a follow-up question, this is about business. I assume you're making money from that truck. So if you're making money from that truck, then you should be structuring your deal and your finances in a way that gets you the short-term wins and doesn't push the losses to the back like a negative equity. Like I said, you got a $400 payment, but every time you replace the vehicle, you got 15 grand negative equity. Smarter thing to do would be to have a shorter loan, higher payment slightly, but then when you go replace the car's paid off. Now, instead of having negative equity, you might have something that's worth 5 grand, 8 grand that you could use as an asset. So that's what it's about. All right. When it comes to these understanding this is all in my digital book. You have to understand depreciation is step one. Cue up the next question, Dolan. Depreciation is next step one. When you go into a car transaction, your first question is to decide how I'm going to beat depreciation, through a below market lease or through a below market purchase. But if you do a below market purchase, which means you pay less than everyone else paid, but you should have leased, then you paid too much. There's no one on here, myself included, who can get a below market purchase and then replace that car in 3, 4, 5 years and have it be less money than we would have spent on a below market lease. A purchase is always much more, even with a great deal, than a lease would be with a below market lease. So this is what we deal with up front. Leasing versus buying is the first step in my book, the most important question. That's the foundation of our deals. Nothing more important than that. All right, go ahead, Dolan. All right, come on, keep typing the questions. I know we got a lot. We'll try to get through as many as we can in an hour. Okay, BMW X7, new or used. Okay, so if you're purchasing, which means you're a long-term person, you're going to beat depreciation through long-term ownership. Whenever you're purchasing, your goal is to beat depreciation through long-term ownership. So how many people have a vehicle? If you have a vehicle that you've had in your driveway for at least 8 years, I want you to type the number of years into the chat. Type the number of years into the comments if you had a vehicle more than 8 years, 10 years, type it in, 11 years, 13 years, 8 years, only if it's more than 8. I want to show you how you should be looking at purchasing and what your goal should be. What your goal should be when you buy. Okay, so I see somebody TikTok 15 years. I see, okay, brother, I see 11 years. Okay, anyone who has a car, if you have a vehicle in your driveway right now that you have had, William Smith, 12 years. Okay, if you've had it more than 8 years, type the number of years into the chat so that you can understand what we're about to break down here. Because you're asking Chuck T, new or used. This is totally based on budget. But after you decide what your goal is, which is a long-term purchase. All right, 9 years. I see you, Liz. All right, so when you look at keeping a vehicle as long as the people who just shouted out how many years they've kept it, this is what their depreciation looks like now. Some of them like this. Somebody like brother who he's had his vehicle 11 years, his depreciation is like this. What does that mean? If his vehicle today is worth $7,000, a year from now, it'll probably be worth close to 7,000, maybe 68, 62, 7. He's losing a very small amount through depreciation. He's beat depreciation. So that's the benefit of all the money he put into the car, is he now has a vehicle that is no longer depreciated. He could drive it for 4 or 5 more years. My father had a GMC Envoy that he's had since 2013. We bought it pre-owned for him. He's had it since then, paid it off 5, 6 years ago, and he's had that vehicle. It's been worth about $5,000 for the last 2 years, and he's going to sell it for close to that. So that's when you beat depreciation. Now, when you are not buying to keep that long, you are on the depreciation sliding board, which means you're going to lose thousands of dollars in value. So as long as you have decided I'm going for long term, which I call the 8-year rule, at least 8 years, I'm going to keep this vehicle so I can beat the depreciation, pay it off, and then I'll consider replacing it or keeping it longer. But it's going to be at least 8, or I should be shopping for a below market lease so I don't tie up money in this vehicle this long. So now you've decided I'm a long-term person, I'm purchasing new or pre-owned, strictly based on budget. Can we afford both? If we can afford both, then I have in step 3 in my book, and step 4, which is shopping, not buying. This is when I'm helping you make this decision of new versus pre-owned. Which value system are you operating with? Some people, if they know they're only getting a replacement vehicle every 8 to 10 years, they're going to go and get a new one because they're like, listen, I only do this once a decade. I want to make sure I have the latest and greatest. I could afford it, no problem. Some people, they say, you know, even though I could afford the new one, I want to go pre-owned. Let me try to knock 20%, 30% off my investment so I have even less money invested in the car. One person wants the latest and greatest. One person wants more value with a discount off of it, and they don't need the absolute latest. So that's the balance between new versus used. Can I get everything I need and want in a new car for my budget? Can I afford to get everything I need and want in a new car, BMW X7, for my budget? If yes, then you can go new. If your value say, listen, I could afford it, but I want to knock 30% off, 20% off, 20, whatever it is, whatever the below market used car deal would be for that vehicle, then they go that route. There's no right or wrong there. But if you can't afford to get everything you need and want in a new one, then your only option is to go pre-owned. But it's all based on the 8-year rule first. You should be buying to beat depreciation to keep at least 8 years. You're buying a depreciating asset. 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years of ownership is losses because you're not going to get the money back in resale when you're depreciating that vehicle the first 5, 6 years and then going and replacing it. You're not getting that money back. You would have been much better off getting a below market lease. Give you an example. Let's take a vehicle that's close, relatively close, price wise to that X7. Look at Teddy's, BMW. He has an electric BMW, so he got a bigger discount because there's rebates that he got. There's rebates that wouldn't be applicable on the X7, but it's a $73,000 vehicle. He's leasing it for $856 a month. That was his best offer. Now, one of the things we teach here, we do not buy a vehicle, lease it, buy it without looking at 5 offers, 5 options. If we're looking at a used car, we're looking at 5 options to make sure we're getting the best price. We do this from home. That's why my entire system, my book, everything is called Cars from Home. Cars from Home, because we're using the internet to do this. But you look at somebody like him, he paid $856 a month, no money down. On a $73,000 vehicle, some of you know every $5,000 would be how much? I know I got some new people on the stream, but I'm talking to the people who you've been tapped in. I may have a couple people who know every $5,000 when you're looking at a car is about how much per month. And you use this so that you never get scammed. When you know this, no one can throw, you need to know a basis of what a car should cost. And I'm gonna tell you why in 1 minute. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, $100. Great job. Anthony Perry knows $100. So if every $5,000 is $100, you're going to now look at a $50,000 vehicle and you're going to say that's going to be about $1,000 a month if I wanted to buy it. That doesn't take into account, okay, I might get a $10,000 discount. We're just talking about strictly looking at the base price, total price of the vehicle, asking price. Every $5,000 is about $100 per month on a 5-year loan. So you're looking at a $50,000 vehicle, that's about $1,000 a month. You're looking at a $73,000 BMW like Teddy was, that's roughly about $1,500, close to $1,500 a month on a 5-year loan. No money down. That's how we shop. No money down. We're just doing apples to apples. We may put money down later, but we need to know base numbers. This is base numbers. So look at Teddy. He's paying $856. You're never, if he was buying this vehicle, it would be $1,400, $1,500. That's why I say when you ask about purchasing, it's important for me to reiterate to you that if you should be shopping for below market leases, but you're shopping for purchases, it doesn't matter how great of a deal I teach you to get. You can use the Cars from Home strategies in my book, the bidding strategies, to get the best offers on your purchase, new cars, used cars. But it's not going to compare to if you would have leased, because you should have leased because you weren't keeping your car at least 8 years. You can see he's $856 a month, and even if the deal wasn't that great, even if it was $1,000, he's still literally $400 or $500 less per month than if he had bought that car only to try to trade it in 3 or 4 or 5 years and go do it again. So the leasing versus buying is the biggest principle that you need to start your car deals with. There's nothing more important than that, and we want to make sure we drive that point home. Everything we're talking about is in my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can get your copy for 75% off. That's part of my welcome offer to you. This is going to have all of my blueprints, step-by-step strategies for leasing, buying, getting below market deals for high mileage drivers. It's all in there if you don't want to try to remember this. And you can get it for 75% off as part of our welcome offer. In my TikTok bio, click the picture of me. My Instagram bio, click the picture of me. Click that website, and the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments. Grab your 75% off, but it's only good for 30 minutes. After that timer hits 0, the price does go back up to $97, which is still incredible. I get it at $97, but $24 is even better. All right, Dolan, shoot the next question up. All right. Cody, how much of a down payment is needed for trade-in with $10,000 negative equity? This is a great question. Depends on what you're buying the next vehicle for and what type of discount you got off the next vehicle. So give you an example. Let's take a dramatic discount like Milligan's discount. She got one of the largest discounts I've ever seen anyone get using our bidding strategies from home. Let me pull it up so that we can now. When you get the larger discount you get, the more money you're able to roll over to that deal without having to put money down. Now, let me give you an example. Why does money down become important or necessary sometimes? The banks have something called loan to value ratios. Loan to value ratios. So the banks may say, based on good credit, we will lend a customer 20% above the value of the vehicle they're buying. So if they're buying a $40,000 vehicle, we will lend that customer up to $8,000 more, which would be 20% of $40,000. Because the value of the vehicle is 40, the loan to value ratio is 120%. We can lend $48,000 on a $40,000 vehicle. So if a person comes in and they want to buy that $40,000 vehicle and they want to finance and add to the loan the taxes and any applicable fees, that might come out to be roughly $44,000. They'll qualify because the bank says you have up to $8,000. Now, let's say they want to bring a small amount of negative equity over to the deal, $4,000. So now they buy it for 40. They get they have $4,000 in fees and taxes, and then they have another $4,000 of negative equity that they add to the transaction. The bank will say you're still at no more than 20% above the value of the vehicle. We can approve this with no money down. The problem happens when a person wants to add $8,000 of negative equity on top of that. So now they're buying it for 40. They are getting taxes and fees added. That's 44. And then they want to slap 8,000 of negative equity on there. That's 52. The bank is going to say, no, we only will approve 20% above the vehicle's value, which is $48,000. So if you could get it down to $48,000, we'll approve it. If not, we can't approve it. The customer has to put the money down to make up the difference. So in that scenario, what you would be asking for would be above the bank's loan to value ratios. This is why I call negative equity the bad credit for people with good credit. This is why I want you to know the cause for most negative equity situations is you don't understand leasing and you're buying your vehicles rather than getting below market leases. You take out 5 and 6 year loans, you don't pay them off, you trade in vehicles, and you should be shopping for below market leases, but you continue to purchase. So you're going to continue to have negative equity in almost every case unless you start putting a lot of money down or start keeping your vehicles longer, paying them off, and then coming back and seeing how much money you could get back out of that, which I also don't recommend. But the last thing, which is very important, especially when you have large amounts of negative equity, is let's say that same $40,000 vehicle, you're using our strategies and you get a $8,000 discount. Or let's take a vehicle. Let's take Milligan's deal. Like I said, in her particular case, she got a $79,000 vehicle for $51,000. This is a Mercedes. It's an electric version. She used our bidding system. She got the biggest discount I've ever seen, and she can put any amount of negative equity on top of this deal because the bank is lending against this vehicle, this Mercedes, based on a $79,000 value. So their loan to value ratios for this vehicle would be 20% above $79,000. So if that's, let's say $80,000, 10% would be $8,000. So you're talking about $16,000 that they would lend above the $79,000. So they're looking and saying, wow, if this is a $79,000 vehicle, they don't care about what the woman bought it for. They don't know that. All they know is when the loan paperwork comes in, we're asking for less than what the loan to value threshold show. And they have other people that go and they pay list price. They go in, they have no strategies, and they just go in and say, all right, it costs $79,000, I'll take it, not realizing that, okay, I didn't negotiate. I overpaid by almost $27,000. That's the market value for this particular vehicle, but the bank doesn't care. The bank just wants to know that when the loan comes in, it's under 86 or $87,000, and they're going to approve it. So the bigger discount you get, the more room you have to move negative equity over, and that's what you want to understand. If I had a large amount of negative equity, I would be choosing several vehicles, using our bidding strategies from home. If you want to do it your way, at least calling around, talking to managers, getting multiple offers. You want to talk to salesmen and managers, you can do that. But once you get the discount, any amount of negative equity that you bring over would now go on top of your selling price. So if you got a $10,000 discount, then you brought $5,000 of negative equity over, you would be well below the bank's loan to value threshold. So it's based off of how much negative equity you have, and then it's connected to how much discount you're going to get off the value of the vehicle, which is what the banks actually base the loan to value approvals on. And if you can do that, you don't need a trade, you don't need a down payment. And I hope that's clear. If you rewatch this, rewatch this segment, it'll be clear to you. If most people understood that and the cost for negative equity, we have a lot better world. Deals. Negative equity is the one thing besides super bad credit where you can walk in with an 800 score. You're not leaving with a car, depending on what your situation is and what car you're trying to get and how much they're charging you for it. You are not leaving with a car. And that's just the sad part. So stay out of negative equity. Get out, stay out of it. All right, go ahead, Dolan. Next question. And I see you, Quintia. We'll get to you asking about Tesla. All right, Miss A, good to see you. Any advice on leasing as a first-time car buyer? Sure. Let's look for something that's mainstream because some banks do not want to be your first lease. When I was at Mercedes, unless you were like, they had a Rising Star program, which was certain college students and, would have, condition. They had to have certain things like 2 trade lines on their credit report, but that's the only people who can qualify to get a Mercedes as their first loan or lease. Some of these, luxury banks or import banks do not want to be the first one, but Honda, Toyota, Chevrolet, Ford, Nissan, and possibly Infiniti, as long as your credit profile is good, you're in that good range, high 6s, low 7s, the better, the higher the better, and you have a solid credit report, that could be 2 credit cards, but you're paying them on time, you're not using up that credit. I would be shopping based on the 8-year rule, which is the first step in my book. The 8-year rule is how many years are you going to keep the next car? That's the leasing versus buying question. And once you make that decision, if you're not keeping the car 8 years, you should be shopping for a below market lease. And I've seen so many people that would buy their first car or they would buy their children their first cars, and they're getting like $400 payments on these cars or $350 payments. That's only a $15,000 to $18,000 car. So they're usually getting, a 4 or 5-year-old, Hyundai Elantra, Toyota Corolla, if they're buying used. These are the same vehicles that they may turn around and trade in 2 or 3 years, 4 years. They're paying $350 a month, and God forbid the vehicle breaks down on them or anything. They're dealing with a used car, where you can get some of these incredible lease deals, and you can get them for, depending on the car you're looking at. Somebody had just got an Elantra, and the payment was $350 a month, brand new car, no money down. Let me see if I can find their deal. It was here we go. It's India. I joined last year. She joined our program. I do have a program where I shop with people. Depends on how you want to learn. You can go to my bio to figure that out too. But these are people who are in my program. They have the same strategies you have access to in my book, same process. It's just one's a blueprint for people who are like, Deshone, give me the blueprint. I'll follow it step by step. You can get to all your deals. And one is done with you, where you're like, hey, let's shop together. You're basically shopping with me. So it says, got back 6 quotes, because I told you guys we don't make a deal unless we get at least 5 quotes on every vehicle. Got back 6 quotes. Fast forward 2024, I had to find a car in 2 weeks, so you don't need a lot of time to implement this. My process actually takes, max probably 3 days. If you needed a car in 3 days, we can get a below market deal that fast. I had to find a car in 2 weeks, so I got to work in about 5 days. I walked out with a 2024 Hyundai Elantra, 36 month, 12K, 365 a month, no money down. So this is a brand new vehicle, probably about a $26,000 vehicle. You know, no money down. So when we consider the fact that, as I said, some people are buying their family members, you know, $15,000 to $18,000 vehicles that have a 365 payment. Okay, do I want my people? Do I want my my child or whoever in a, you know, 2019 or 5-year-old or 4-year-old or, you know, 6-year-old used vehicle for $350 a month, $360 a month, or can I go out and can I lease a below market? Can I get a below market lease? Because again, there's a lot of people paying a lot more than what India just paid. So I don't want you to think that's the deal for everyone. That's a below market lease deal. You can look at the commercials and you'll see that anytime you go to a website to lease a Hyundai Elantra, that's not going to be the deal. $350 a month, $360 with no money down. They're probably going to say $279 a month with $3,500 down plus tax and fees. And again, the key is this is a below market deal that India got using my blueprints, using our shop from home strategy where we don't talk with dealers. So that's the thing. I would most likely say I want my child or my spouse or whoever in a new vehicle for the same payment rather than a used one. So that's it. So everything we're talking about is in my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can Google it. It's already 5-star rated. In fact, before we go to the next question, I wanted to pull in some of these reviews. Thank you to everybody who has reviewed the book. And I appreciate it. I just grabbed a couple random ones. Says here, this book is a must have if you're thinking of getting a new or used car. So much has changed in the process since I bought my first car 40 years ago. Think of it as a workbook. So even though you finish the book, you will refer back to it several times in the process. Deshone takes you step by step through the process and has videos to support the steps that I do. That's a surprise in there. For those of you who have the book, you know I link to certain videos to help you understand things better. I feel better prepared to go out, get the deal I want for my next car, and I know that I didn't get taken advantage of by a dealer. Thank you, Marguerite. Appreciate you. Again, you can get your copy as part of our welcome offer to you for 75% off. Books normally $97. You go to my TikTok bio, click the picture of me, go to my Instagram bio, click the website that says 75% off, or you can go to my Facebook comments or the YouTube comments to activate your 75% off. But it's only good for 30 minutes. If you visit it and that clock started ticking down, once it gets to 0, the price does go back to $97. So go get your book, screenshot the thank you page so you'll have the support team's email, and come on back to the show. Go ahead, Dolan, shoot the next one in. Oh, Dominique said, buy the book, y'all. I bought a used car using Cars from Home strategy. I saved so much money and time. It was not hard either. If you follow the steps, Deshone literally does it for you. That's it. That's a fact. Thank you, Dominique. That is a fact. Like, you're not using your stuff anymore. You're using my stuff. So that is, if you leave your stuff. That's why I represent Unlearn, Relearn, because when you decide you want to unlearn your way of car shopping and you want to do it the Cars from Home way, that's all you need. As long as you have a computer and you can copy and paste and send emails and visit websites, you can win. That's all you need. But you do need to be able to use a computer and copy and paste. That is a requirement. And everyone may not be able to do that. If you have somebody in your family that's good with copying and pasting and sending emails, that's all we need to win. All right. Thanks, Dominic. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Dolan. Shout out to the sharers and shout out to everybody running the likes up on TikTok. Thank you to everyone who hits the share button. Whenever you hit the share, tag your best friend, tag one friend in, because they may be car shopping this weekend. Right now, they might be going to a dealership later, and you have no idea. Most people are overpaying by thousands. There's only 3 prices you can pay with cars. Market value, that's what everyone pays. Above market value is what the worst negotiators pay. And below market value is reserved for people who are putting dealers against each other. Negotiators can get market value for negotiators. So even if you're a great negotiator like I am, obviously I was a great negotiator selling cars for 14 years, but even if I was a great negotiator, I'm still going to get market value, because the only way I could guarantee below market value is by looking at multiple options, the same way you buy a TV. You go buy a TV, you're looking at multiple TVs, Walmart.com, Amazon.com, all these different sellers from Amazon, Best Buy. So that's the only way you can guarantee a below market price for your TV, is looking at multiple offers. You could go to Walmart and say, all right, I got a TV, $700. Was it market value? Was it below? Or was it above? You don't know until you look at all the market, and that's what we do. That's what Cars from Home is about. Okay, Alan Carter, 35 years in the car business. Your advice is spot on. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All I want to do is help people find the 20% of car dealers and salesmen who are honest, who want to compete, who want to take care of their customers. That's the 20%. But 80%, we have proven that, working with hundreds of people personally, thousands around the country, we've proven that you must get 5 offers on every car, because 80% are going to be overpriced. Doesn't matter how much you negotiate, they're not going below a certain amount. So when they tell you, hey, Shantola, thanks for coming in, but this is the best offer we can do, that does not mean that's the best offer any Nissan dealer can do. That means that's the best offer Nissan of Bay Ridge can do. That's the best offer Nissan of Hudson County can do. But there are several Nissan dealers competing, and we need to get competitive offers to see who's the 20% of dealers who are going to beat all their competition. And we only do this from home. Go ahead, Dolan. Great questions today. Let's go. Keep typing. Let's get to as many as we possibly can. Does your process work when leasing a Tesla? Yes and no. My parameters for overpaying for a lease should never be broken. They're based off the 1% rule. So how did we come up with the 1.5% rule for knowing bad lease deals? We had to look at what a great lease deal was. And the 1% rule has been around since way before I started leasing cars. So you take the MSRP of the vehicle, the total MSRP, you type that in, and you multiply the total MSRP by 1%. And if your lease payment with no money down is under that, you stole the vehicle. It's a steal. I call it a steal. So we have 3 different ways we look at leases: a steal, a deal, and when it's time to chill. Very simple. A steal is 1% or less. So what does a 1% look like in real life? Look at somebody like Greg. Greg leases his $56,000 Kia EV6 Win, $527 a month. No money down, 12,000 miles per year. Now you can adjust this miles. You can get 15,000, 18,000, 25,000. But the way we shop is based on 12,000 miles per year. That's how we judge the 1% rule. So another 1% deal, less than that. You know, Zafrina uses our strategies, uses what's in my book. She puts the dealers against each other. She gets multiple offers. You can see she used all the scripts, my email scripts. We don't talk. She gets $579 a month on this $65,000 Jeep Grand Cherokee. You look at somebody like, where is Rosalie? Rosalie Ansley is another 1% lease deal. 2024 Infinity truck, $58,000, $554 a month, no money down, right under 1%. And he's driving something he likes. This was a vehicle he got for his father a couple days ago. So this is a 1% lease. So now we say, when I started telling people about leases in my videos, I knew people were going to go out and get bad lease deals because they just literally don't know how to make people bid, and they're just going in trying to negotiate, not realizing a lease is going to look better than a purchase. The only people who really say a lease is the same are people who really are overpaying for their leases, because they'll say, wow, the dealership told me to shine that with their lease deal, it'd be better if I just buy it because it's about the same price. That means they're offering you a horrible lease deal. That dealership is running a horrible lease deal, and they want to try to talk people into buying. But normally a lease, when you look at like these deals, is, you know, these are hundreds of dollars less per month than they would be to purchase, hundreds less. So now we say, well, how do we know a bad lease deal? You're paying too much money for a car you're giving back. It's very simple. A bad lease deal is just that. You're paying too much money for a car or vehicle you are giving back in 3 years. That's another reason we don't do 4-year leases at all. Because when you add up all the payments, you look and say, wow, I leased a $40,000 vehicle and I paid $28,000 for that vehicle over 4 years. Then I gave it back to them. You paid off almost the whole vehicle and then gave it back to them. That's why 4-year leases are horrible. But you're only judging your lease value by how much you're paying over time and how much did it cost me to drive that $40,000 vehicle for 3 years. Did it cost me $13,000 to drive it over 3 years? $17,000 to drive it over 3 years? $20,000 to drive it over 3 years? What did it cost me? And that's what the 1% rule is basing it off of. If you're looking at a $40,000 vehicle, you get a payment of $400 per month. It costs you 400 times 36, cost you $14,000 to drive a $40,000 vehicle over 3 years. That's much less than the normal depreciation of that vehicle. So we go up to 1.5%. So 1.5%, anything above that, you're paying too much for a vehicle that you're giving back. There's no value in leasing that vehicle. And when you compare it to other vehicles, because every vehicle has a different lease program, there's so many other vehicles you can lease and get a lot more value, drive a whole lot more car MSRP wise, and have the same amount of money coming out of your bank account. So that's why the 1.5% rule is our anchor for overpaying. And even though Tesla does not negotiate, Quintiel, because this is all to answer your question, Tesla does not negotiate. You order your car, they have a one price system. When you do your lease for 12,000 miles per year, no money, just giving them first month's payment. You divide that into the MSRP of the Tesla. Is it under 1.5? So I don't care that Tesla. So Tesla doesn't allow us to make dealers bid against each other because every Tesla is going to be the same price from California to New Zealand to New Hampshire to Connecticut. They're the same price. So what we have to say is the lease program good that Tesla is offering? And if I divide my monthly payment into my MSRP and it's under 1.5, closer to 1 the better, the lower the better. But we need to judge that. That's how we would judge that. So when that's the part of our process that would still be applicable when leasing a Tesla. And if you have a vehicle you're replacing, or when that vehicle is up, our system for selling leases, assessing our equity is still applicable because we don't return a lease without checking equity. This is step 2 in my process. If you have a lease, or if you have ever at any point in your life dropped off a lease to a dealership without checking for equity, type me in the comments. Type me in the comments. If you have returned a lease and you did not assess your equity, and matter of fact, I know there's a lot, you might be like Deshone, I didn't even know you could sell a lease. If you didn't know you could sell a lease, just type a question mark. I didn't even know it was even possible for me to sell a lease, much less turn around and have a process for how I sell it or how I analyze. Okay, Faith, I see. I never done that. Dwayne Castro, me. Okay, perfect. So what we do is, this is step 2 in our process. We assess our equity on any vehicle that we are replacing because we don't trade. We don't trade. Some of you know that. So the equity assessment is how we don't give dealers back money. So if your car on the market is worth $19,000 and you go drop it back to a dealership, but they could buy that car for $16,000, now you just lost $3,000 of equity because they're going to buy that vehicle and they're going to resell it based on a market value of 19. So what we do is we make sure before we return any lease, we are checking the market value, getting 6 offers to see if is the price that a dealer can buy our lease for, is that a price that is a price that's higher than our is our market value higher than the market? Let me break it down like this. Let's say the dealer buyout price is $19,000, but your highest offer market-wise is $24,000. That means you have $4,000 to $5,000 of equity that we could cash out, let CarMax, Driveway, Carvana, Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, AutoNation, Car Gurus, one of these buyers that we use, this is all in my book. This is step 2. We get these online bids. We're going to let them buy the vehicle and then we'll make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 once we sell it to them. And I've helped hundreds of people do this. There's several videos on my pages where you can see people that are commenting, man, I use your strategies. I made 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, especially during the pandemic, because every vehicle was worth $7,000 to $12,000 more than it's worth today, more than it would be worth in a real market. And I told people for 2 years straight, once I started talking about this, I said, listen, cash out now. If you have a vehicle, cash out. We help people cash out $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, $12,000, put that money in their bank, release or rebuy below market. And some people can say they capitalize on a once in a lifetime market that none of us have ever seen before. Strictly based on the equity assessment. This is all in my digital book. This is, if you're like Deshone, I don't even want to remember half this stuff. I'm not going to remember it. You can get my entire blueprint that teaches everything about below market leases, below market purchases, below market new cars, used cars, making banks bid, equity assessment, selling leases. All of that is in my book step by step. And you can get your copy for 75% off for 30 minutes only. It's my welcome offer to you. I want to give you incentive to get the book now so you can pay less, 75% off. In my TikTok bio, go to that picture of me, go to the Instagram bio, click that link, click the button that says 75% off new book. Get your copy. Make sure you screenshot the thank you page. If you're on YouTube, your 75% off link is in the comments. Facebook, it's in the comments, but it's only for 30 minutes. After that, the price does go back up to $97, which is worth every penny, but $24 is better. So go get your book and then come back to the show. Go ahead, Dolan. Great question so far. Let's keep going. Does this work the same way for Canada? Scott, I'm not sure. I do believe that most would be applicable. I do believe that most. The difference is going to be the websites. So we're using our multiple marketplace strategy for shopping for used cars. We're using 8 marketplaces. Used to be 9, but Vroom went out of business. So we're using Carvana, we're using Carvana, CarMax, Driveway, eBay Motors, Cars.com, CarGurus.com, Carfax.com, and Autotrader.com. Those are 8 marketplaces that we use to shop for our used cars. I don't know if they're the same in Canada. I don't know if they're different. When we're shopping for our new cars, we use what I call, what's in my books, it's in step 5, it's called the 25 to 5 strategy. We're going to reach out to 25 dealers online. It takes us 20 minutes. You're using my email scripts. In 90 minutes, you're going to have quotes back from all of these dealers to be able to get at least 5 to 7 quotes. So out of the 25, you're going to get 5 to 7 quotes. That's why it's called the 25 to 5 strategy. We're going direct to the dealers' websites. So I give you links to the dealers. As long as these dealerships have similar websites set up in Canada, then everything is going to be the same. The scripts, the way they communicate, the things they try to get you to do, come in, can I get you on the phone, put one price here, and then, for a used car, and then hope you come in and charge you more later. All of that, if all of that is the same, which I believe it is, then everything will be applicable in Canada. It's just the websites will be different. But Honda's going to have their own dealers' websites, so that's why I say I believe 90% at least is applicable, and potentially more. All right, great question. Go ahead, Dolan. I have the book. Great job, and make sure you guys send me your emails, just like Tiffany did. I always use Tiffany because she was the first one to send us an email, and I always make sure I reference her. But everybody who sends these in, I get to bring them onto the show. I brought a couple more. Look, this one is from Christopher. Deshone, thanks so much for these resources. I read your entire book last night. I've already been underway and trying to put my deal together. What a great book. I have my quotes together. Now I'm ready to take the next step with the calculator. I'm a big fan of your channel and your resources. So I have calculators in the book that I invented. We have 5 different custom calculators: perfect budget calculator, lease counter offer calculator, purchase counter offer calculators, true value calculator for when we do used cars. So I think there's 4. Might be one more, but there's at least 4 calculators that we invented. That these, you can't find these anywhere on Google. I literally wrote the code, and so that's what he's talking about when he talks about the actual calculators that are in there for you guys. So yeah, send me all your details. I love reading stories like that. Okay, Stos, what if I have a 600 credit score? How much is that lease deal that they're going to give me going to go up by? It's a great question. So if you are not in a position to lease because you won't qualify for a lower tier approval, a tier 1 approval, which is basically the best offer. Most leases are they're offering the lease based on tier 1 approval, which you don't need to have perfect credit for. That's not a super tier approval. That's not A1. There's tier 1 and then there's tier A1. So A1 is going to be a super tier, which is usually applicable on limited inventory cars. It's not important, but most vehicles, they're going by tier 1. And so most people can qualify for tier 1 with a good credit profile. But if you don't get tier 1, the payments can go up significantly. If you get tier 3, tier 5, some banks have 6 tiers. So the payment can go up by $100, $150. That's why we always have backup offers. So in case someone tells us, hey, your payment's going up by $80, we go to our backup offer. We give them a chance to actually see are they lying to us? Are they just trying to take a shot at us? Because sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But if I can't qualify for a lease, what I'm doing is buying what I call in my book a smart card. This stands for saving money at the right time. Saving money at the right time. It's not the little smart cards that you may be familiar with. What I'm doing is setting myself up to lease. So I'm going to go get the least expensive car that I can get a loan on. That is the goal of a smart car, to have the least expensive quality car. It must last. Car cannot be breaking down. It's the least expensive quality car that I can get a loan on. $10,000 loan, $12,000 loan. So now I'm going to get the smallest car that I can get, maybe like a Hyundai Elantra or something that was like 24, 25,000 new. And I'm looking to get it around 10,000. So it doesn't have to be too old. Now I'm getting that vehicle. I'm going to drive that vehicle for 2 years, establish a payment history. My payment should be no more than $250 a month. You're talking about a $10,000 loan. So now I got an easily manageable payment. I got a car that is dependable. I trade out of that into a lease in 2 years. But what some people do, which is what I don't recommend you do, when you're trying to qualify for a lease, that should be the goal. It should be, I'm buying this vehicle right now that I'm getting is going to set me up for my lease in 2 years. Now, some people will go, I just got to have what I want now. And they'll go and they'll get the Dodge Charger with the Hemi engine, or they want but they know that, all right, I'm going to go and get a $25,000 vehicle. But because you have a lower credit score, you're going to pay 18, 20, 25% interest. So now when you go to replace that, first of all, in 2 years, you got to make it to 2 years with a high payment, a car that most likely wasn't a quality car, because you're stretching. When I say you're stretching, if you're trying to get a $25,000 Dodge Hellcat, that vehicle probably has 80,000 miles on it, no warranty. So you're getting you're not getting a quality one. You're getting the one you can afford, which is going to be high miles, older, and now you have this high payment, high interest. So when you go to replace that car in 2 years and try to go into a lease, you're going to have a huge amount of negative equity, maybe $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $15,000 of negative equity. So when you try to go into that lease, you're not going to even be able to make the lease make sense, because you're bringing all this negative equity over from the old car. So that's why I say you discipline yourself. You drive something, least expensive car, because you're building. You're building. We haven't earned the right to get what we want, but if I discipline myself for 2 years, drive a vehicle that is the least expensive, reliable vehicle that'll do the job for me, 2 years down the road, I got 2 years of payment history. I traded out of that into my new lease, and I'm driving a brand new car from that point on. That's the plan if I didn't have good credit, but I knew I need to get to the point where I could lease. That's exactly what I would do. All right, great question. Go ahead, Dolan. Scott Johnson hold on. Ahmed, the payment includes money factor and taxes. So what part of the lease is too much? It's too much based on the total amount for a vehicle you're not going to own. So when I leased my $35,000 Jeep Grand Cherokee, I got it for $330 a month. This was in 2018. So 2018, I paid $330 a month, and then I drove off. It was a 39-month lease. So over 39 months, I paid $12,870 for a $35,000 vehicle. Plus taxes and fees, it would have been probably $39,000. So $12,000 it cost, $12,870 it cost me. When you are leasing, the only thing you are considering is how much does it cost me to drive this vehicle over 3 years. The lower, the better. And that's how I look at cars, and that's how I teach all people who do cars from home, all the cars from home insiders, look at leases and say it's a value play. That $40,000 vehicle, what's the below market lease on that? We get below market leases by making dealers bid. That's what the whole cars. That's a huge part of what the cars from home system is. You're not going to get the below market deal negotiated because you don't know what the market is. 80% of dealers are overpriced. So 4 out of 5 dealers are not going to give you a below market offer. They're going to hold more profit. They'll give you a discount, but they're not going to beat all their competition and give you the biggest discount. That's why we get multiple offers. Once we look at the below market lease, we can determine how much we're paying for this vehicle over a 3-year period. And the lower the better. Because again, we're comparing it to the 1% rule. So the 1% rule has been around. It's literally, I'm driving new vehicles for cents on the dollar. A 1% lease, $400 a month for a $40,000 car, no money down. The same $40,000 car would be $800 a month to buy, based on the fact we know every $5,000 is $100 a month. So $40,000 on a vehicle, that would be $800 a month. That's not including taxes. So you're talking $800 a month, $850 a month to buy a $40,000 vehicle on a 5-year loan. A 1% lease is $400 a month. So we're always judging the lease by how much am I giving them over a 3-year period to drive this vehicle. And, there is a point in time where you're paying too much for a vehicle you're giving back. And that means you signed a bad lease deal. Go ahead, Dolan. All of this is in my book. I teach you about the 1.5% rule and why we don't sign leases over 1.5%. All of this is laid out step by step. That's a huge part. When you hear me say rules, the 1.5% rule, the 8-year rule, these are principles. These are boundaries in our Cars from Home blueprint that we don't step over. We don't. And there's one thing, if you step over, great. That's on you because you're an adult. But it's another thing to know you're actually stepping over a boundary. And that's what we didn't have in the past. We didn't have boundaries that we knew we were stepping over. When is your loan too long? Well, in real estate, you have boundaries. That's why who would sign up for a 40-year mortgage? Type me. Do I have anybody in here willing to sign up for the 40-year mortgage? Anyone? Anyone willing to sign up? You're a smart person. Anyone? You could get a $600,000 house for the same payment as a $400,000 house potentially. Anybody signing up for a 40-year mortgage? What about a 50-year mortgage? What about a 50-year mortgage? No. Most people know, Deshone, the longest mortgage we're gonna get is a 30-year mortgage. Some of you go for 15 years to pay it off quicker, but you're not doing 40, you're not doing 50. Because that means I can't afford this vehicle. Boundaries. That's industry established boundaries. That means I can't afford this house. If I have to take a 40-year mortgage, 50-year mortgage just to afford it, I can't afford it. That's the same thing we bring. That's one of the boundaries we bring to car buying. We don't do loans longer than 72 months. 6-year loan is the longest loan that we will do on a car. It just leads to problems. Most of the people who've had problems with cars, horrible problems. They still have loans on them. Cars breaking down. They should be putting money to the side every year for maintenance, but they can't because they're still making a $500, $400, $800 car payment, and the car is 11 years old. These are issues. These are boundaries that we don't step over. That's why you'll learn in my book, The Rule of 72 and the 10th birthday. 6-year loan is the max. Car should be paid off by the 10th birthday. These are boundaries. That's what we bring. Dion Harvey, would you pay 16 for a Mercedes Benz with 113,000 miles? No, unless you can pay cash for it, you most likely are going to end up in a tough position, and I'll tell you why. If you can pay cash for it, then you can put away money for the maintenance and for the upkeep. When I sold Mercedes, and I sold them for 5 years, the people who I would literally run into that were in tears were people who the service department told, you have a $4,000 repair, plus you need brakes, plus you need an oil change. So oil change on the Mercedes is $200. Brakes could be $2,000. Then you have a repair because you don't have a warranty that could be your navigation system goes out. That could be $3,000. So literally you're looking at $6,000 and you still have a car payment and you still have insurance and you still have gas. So this is something I call the 4 expenses that we take into account. How we're going to acquire the car, insurance, gas, and maintenance and repairs. So these are the 4 expenses. And what gets people with Mercedes, BMWs, Range Rovers, Porsche, anything that's expensive to maintain and repair is nothing when something breaks, nothing costs $100. So it's not that they can't afford it. They can't afford to do that and make their car payment. So that's why I said, if you're going to pay cash for the 16 Mercedes and you've screened down title, history, service records, accident history, and then you've done a market assessment. This is all stuff I teach you to do step by step in my book when we're buying a used car. Then you can pay cash for it. But if you can't pay cash for at this point, 8-year-old car with 113,000 miles on it, then you really can't afford that car. Go ahead, Dolan. Any Euro car after $100,000 is a money pit. That's why you can get them cheaper. And listen, if you know, you can have vehicles that were well taken care of by people and they just went to upgrade their model. There are plenty of people who baby their cars, their BMWs, their Porsche. They've done all the maintenance. Now they get to 100,000 miles. They might have had it for 8 years and they're ready to sell it. And it's a great opportunity for someone else to buy. But you have to be able to afford these cars. And you have to be able to avoid, if you can't afford to repair and maintain them, then you can't afford these cars. So that's the principle. And again, I'm somebody who's worked. My most expensive car I ever sold was a $435,000 SLR McLaren. So I've had plenty of people who had, $200,000 Maybachs and, $180,000 S63s. Like, there are principles of affordability that safe people, conservative people follow to make sure they're not getting in trouble buying these expensive vehicles. And then there's people who don't have these principles and they're buying less expensive vehicles, lack of quality, and they're basically shoehorning their way into the vehicle with a loan, but they can't afford the vehicle because they can't afford to maintain it. And they can't afford to pay it off in time before things really start going wrong. If I got a paid off Mercedes or paid off Range Rover, but I'm putting, I was paying $700 a month to buy it, but now it's paid off. So now I put $300 a month to the side in an emergency fund. So when something breaks, I go to my emergency fund. Okay, my car needs this, my car needs that, but I'm not making a car payment anymore, so I can afford the maintenance. Problem is, when you're making a car payment and things start breaking, that's the problem. That's what we want to stay away from. So Ron, I have to turn in my 2022 Kia EV 425. Don't want to buy it, but my buyer's 21, worth only 15 right now. So 425 a month on a $41,000 car, good deal. It sounds like it, but we don't know if that was the best deal, and that's the problem. Sounds like it. It's a 1% lease, 425. If you put no money down, and you literally just signed the deal for 425, gave that to them and drove off at 425 a month, then that's close to a 1% lease. And that's but we don't know if that was the best. And I'll give you an example. So Zafrina was shopping for a Jeep Grand Cherokee. She had one coming off lease. She ran her equity assessment just like you. It was no equity in it, so that means she's just going to return it. If there's no equity in the lease, we just return it. When it's done, we start shopping for our lease, just like normal. Once we make our last payment, we get out, we start shopping using our system. Now we get our offers. She gets offers on this Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, and she said it was about 1.2%, which is a solid deal. I mean, 1.2%. Great value lease. But she said that the dealer who won the bid, who she was about to choose, said that because she was coming out of a 1% lease that I had helped her get going back to 2021, right before the pandemic, maybe 2020. She was coming out of a 1% lease. So she was really trying to get back to a 1% lease, not go up to 1.2. So the dealer said, this other vehicle I have, this electric one, I could get you to 1% on that. So she asked in our group, because this is people who shop with Deshone. If you want to shop with Deshone, if you want to learn, depends on how you learn. Go to my same bio and you'll see buttons that says, see if you qualify, shop with Deshone. But I do work with people who want to actually shop in a different way. Blueprint is for people who like blueprints. If you are a blueprint person, Deshone, give me the blueprint. That is my Cars from Home book. It's the ultimate blueprint to below market deals. That's why I show all of these people who actually used it and wrote about it, and you can read the reviews on it. But when you see these Facebook posts, these are people who have been working with me and in my private program. But anyway, let's get to the point. She now says, should I take the 1% on the different vehicle? I said, you got to you have to reach out to all the dealers that emailed you about the original Jeep Grand Cherokee and now give them a shot, because now that guy might be offering you 1%, but you don't know, is that the best deal? Just because he was going to give you the best deal on the normal version, he beat everyone else. That does not mean he's giving you the best on this electric version. He could be using this as an opportunity to make a little more money on you. So she connects, sends out my scripts. We have this contact script, very simple to use, copy and paste. She sends it out on the electric version. The winning bid comes in at $579 a month, which ends up being a 0.88% lease. So yes, when we look at a 1% lease, we might say, hey, when you're asking, hey, this was a 1% lease, was that a good deal? Yes, it is a good deal. Yes, it is a steal. 1% is a steal. Does it mean 405 was not available on this vehicle? No. Does it mean 395 wasn't available on this $41,000 vehicle you got? No. And there's no way for us to know that unless you followed our process and you know there was no better offer than this offer. That's when you know. And that's all we care about. We want to guarantee we got the below market lease. We want to guarantee we saved all the money and got the below market discount on the purchase. We want to guarantee that on our used car that we're buying, we got the below market price. And that was the least expensive option within 100 miles of me, 150 miles of me. That's what we roll. And that's the Cars from Home system. So everything in this stream is sponsored in my new digital book. This is not, I don't wing it. And the beautiful thing about what you're going to do with Cars from Home is you're no longer going to be winging the process. This is the second most expensive purchase that many of you will make. And some of you who don't own a home, this is the most expensive purchase that you have made so far. And every single time you make a 5-figure decision on a car, you add these up and you can see I've made $100,000 in car buying transaction decisions over my lifetime. What is my process for getting below market deals? What is my process for not paying what everyone else is paying? You've winged it, but you're no longer going to wing it. This is a 7-step process. In the book, I have links where you can stay right on task. If you're on the lease path, you're not looking at new cars. You're not reading about purchasing used cars. If you're purchasing a used car, you're not using the system on leasing. You're not using the system on new cars. You're on the used car path. That's the way the book is. It's linked and it warps you to the areas so that you can stay on task and not be learning everything about leasing and buying and used cars and new cars and bidding. Or you don't need to learn all that. We just need a path for you that you can follow step by step to get to your below market deal. And that's the way the book is set up. So it's 5 stars. You can get your copy as part of my welcome offer to you for 75% off. It's normally $97, but for 30 minutes only, you get yours for $24. That's 75% off. It'll be in your inbox in 5 minutes, and you'll have everything for the rest of your life to use when it comes to leasing. If your spouse wants to buy, your child wants a used car, you can open this blueprint up at all times and use these strategies that you paid $24 for. Now, if you missed it and you didn't get there before the 30 minutes is went to zero, then you'd have all these strategies and you paid $97 for it. It's still a win. It's still going to be in the top 3, top 5 most valuable books you've ever owned to your bank account. That is the biggest thing. This book being valuable to your bank account. So go get your copy for 75% off. Click that picture of me in my TikTok bio. Click that picture of me on Instagram. Go to that website in my bio, and then you'll see the button that says 75% off welcome offer. YouTube, you have a comment in the, you have a comment for your 75% off in the comment section. Same thing on Facebook. Get there, use it. Make sure you send me all of your deals. Email me with your deals. Every time you make a deal, I want to see it. Deshone, look at this deal. My biggest thing is seeing the money you are paying for these cars. I want you to be like all of these people who send their deals in. Look, this is what it's about. I don't want you just getting a car. We'll be excited about the car too, but I want you just as excited about the deal you got, because once you see below market deals and you see how different they are than market value deals, or God forbid above market value, you're going to see that you'll never go back. And then I just want you to send me, I want you to help me see what every below market deal look like. Right now, we know the below market deal on this Mercedes that Milligan got is $27,000 off. That sets the market. So if anybody got this same vehicle, the same vehicle that she got, and you didn't get $27,000 off, you overpaid. You know, we know Sean set the market on this on his F-150 Lightning. Some deals are, look, Kimberly set the market on this Maserati Greco that she got earlier this year. She said, look, it was $20,700 off. They gave her sitting at home, getting a bid, a brand new, never before owned. She's the first owner. She got $20,700 off. That's the market value of that vehicle at the time. If somebody got $10,000 off, they paid. That's an average deal. They overpaid by $10,700. So we get to set the market for these vehicles using these shop from home strategies, and that's what I want. I want you empowered. I want you guaranteeing that you save, that no one else paid less than you. And that's the empowerment. You do that right from home, right from your living room. So I will see you all on the next stream. Grab your book. I'll see you inside the book. And God bless you. Let's keep unlearning and relearning.